It's not like I had a choice. You don't choose who you love.
And love can hurt.
For a Cubs fan, it can kill.
Over and over and over again, forever.
Love's kind of like Jason or Freddy Krueger to a Cubs fan.
How long has it been since the Cubs last won the World Series?
Since before fire.
Since before Cher. It was 1908.
'08.
Guys were walking around in straw hats, suspenders, and handlebar mustaches. Girls too, I think.
The point is, it was a long time ago. A lot has happened since then.
A couple of world wars.
Several armed conflicts.
Skyscrapers, jet engines.
The Great Depression. Something that all Cub fans can relate to.
Boogie Woogie.
Rock and roll.
Computer chips.
Internet chat rooms.
And Chuck E. Bleepin' Cheese.
But no championship for the Cubs.
Couple of close calls. Oh yeah, a few glimmers of hope. Snubbed by that all-knowing prankster in this sky. Probably a Cardinals fan.
Back in '69, 9.5 games up on the Mets in August. Finished 8 games out.
'84, Durham versus the Padres in the NLCS. Oh!
In 2003, we could taste it. Up 3-1 against the... What was their name?
The Marlins? Who?
Where are the Marlins from? Florida. Florida.
They came back and beat us. Oh, Bartman.
I can't bear to watch.
We've had our heroes over the years, oh yeah.
Loved them all. None got the ring.
Let's play 2. Ernie Banks, Fergie Jenkins.
Sandberg, Sutcliffe, Sosa.
Nowadays, it's Lee, Wood, Pryor. Injured, out like the team, 15 some odd games back in 5th place.
At this rate, the transporter is going to be developed before the Cubs win it again.
Long after it's ashes to ashes and dust to Dusty Baker for me.
Am I better?
Yes, I am.
But I'll be with them right there tonight when they take on the Mets, no doubt.
What can I tell you?
That's love.
Chicago. It's ESPN Sunday Night Baseball, presented by Taco Bell. And on this hot, humid, late afternoon, really, the New York Mets atop the National League East take on the Chicago Cubs, the rubber match of a 3-game series. And we are in the friendly confines. Wrigley Field, beloved by Cubs fans and baseball fans everywhere. But there has not been an ultimate championship won by the Cubs since 1908. Hello, everyone. I'm Jon Miller with Joe Morgan and Bonnie Bernstein, and welcome to Sunday Night Baseball. It is hot and it's humid here in Chicago. The Cubs, unfortunately, are not hot. They have won 4 of their last 5, showing some signs of a revival. But Derek Lee is out tonight, and the Cubs are going nowhere, already waiting for next year here on the north side of Chicago. Meanwhile, for the Mets, they have the best record in all of the National League, Joe, and a great lineup. Jose Reyes, the outstanding leadoff man, he will not play tonight, but the rest of them are in there. Guys like Carlos Beltran, Carlos Delgado, David Wright, and a guy who had a poor first half but hit 34 homers for them last year, starting to come around now, Cliff Floyd.
Well, I think Cliff Floyd adds a real balance to this attack. They already lead the league in runs scored, but I really believe that Cliff Floyd is the X factor here. I think he will lead them down the stretch because he did get off to a slow start, and this guy's a proven hitter. If you're a 280 hitter and you start off slow, you're going to end up hitting 280. If you're a 280 hitter and you start off hitting 400, you're still going to hit 280. So I think you're going to see all those numbers come out in the second half for Cliff Floyd, and I think that'll make this offense even more consistent than it already is.
All right, so the Mets do lead the National League in runs per game. Now, the pitching, that's another story. Pedro might pitch again on Saturday. He's out right now. El Duque is going tonight, a guy they acquired from Arizona earlier this year. Do they have enough starting pitching, Joe?
Well, I think they need one more, but I think El Duque was brought in for the postseason, not just for the regular season. He's a big game pitcher. They know that he can pitch in big game situations because he's pitched in the World Series, he's pitched in Cuba in big games, so they are confident that he'll be the guy, and he brings a certain presence to the mound. You watch him out there tonight, you won't be able to take your eyes off of him because he has that kind of presence. But I still think they need one more guy, a veteran pitcher, if they're going to go all the way.
All right, maybe somebody in the Cubs clubhouse right now. Who knows? All right, Bonnie Bernstein when we come back on Cubs manager, the beleaguered Dusty Baker, and the rookie Sean Marshall. Dusty started tonight. He's coming in for the bullpen. The first pitch, the Mets coming up from the friendly confines next.
My kids call me the finisher. Finish up in there.
Okay.
Finish your homework?
Yes.
Finish your vegetables. Something I thought I was finished with? Managing my acid reflux disease. I thought it was just bad heartburn, but my doctor said over time, stomach acid was damaging the lining of my esophagus. She prescribed Nexium. Said I needed more than heartburn relief. My esophagus needed repair. One prescription Nexium pill a day not only relieves my heartburn, it healed erosions in my esophagus. So I don't just feel better, I am better. And with the Purple Plus program, I get advice on nutrition, exercise, even ways to save on Nexium. My doctor did say headache, diarrhea, and abdominal pain could be side effects of Nexium, and other serious stomach conditions may still exist.
Talk to your doctor about the healing Purple Pill.
I tell him you shouldn't do anything halfway. Let's finish up.
If you're without prescription coverage and can't afford your medication, AstraZeneca may be able to help.
Your engine knows what it wants. Pennzoil Platinum. Relearn what you know about synthetic at pennzoilplatinum.com.
Baby Ruth is the candy bar for baseball guys. Guys who like peanuts, nougat, and caramel every bit as much as a Grand Slam. And if you're a woman who likes that stuff, want to go to a ball game? Baby Ruth from Nestle, official candy bar of Major League Baseball.
Firestone Complete Auto Care is making it easier than ever to save during our biggest tire event of the year. Drive an SUV or pickup? Then buy 3 of our popular dueler tires and get one free. Or choose from hundreds of other tires, any size, one low price. Like performance tires, any size, just $60. Bridgestone tires, any size, just $70. And for a limited time only, take advantage of our special credit terms and pay no interest till 2007. That's complete savings. That's Firestone Complete Auto Care.
Before it became my pride, it was my passion.
Sometimes kids just don't see it. Steroids can ruin bones, tendons, organs, and dreams. Talk to your kids about the dangers of steroids. Visit drugfree.org.
ESPN's Sunday Night Baseball is presented by the new Spicy Chicken Crunchwrap Supreme at Taco Bell. It's good to go. And in part by Chevy, baseball's #1 fan. Chevy, an American revolution. And Nexium. Learn more about Nexium at purplepill.com.
Yeah, give me some water. Give me some relief right now. It's hot in Chicago. Right now, it's 93 degrees. Temperatures got up over 100 today. On the field right now, it's over 100 degrees. And it's still rather humid. The Cubs have taken the field. The crowd, the big crowd, is in their seats. They're ready to go. And we'll We'll be getting a look here at the New York Mets and the Chicago Cubs, the rubber match of the series. Let's go down now to our colleague Bonnie Bernstein for more on Cubs manager Dusty Baker.
Well, I'll tell you what, John, Wrigley's been more like the unfriendly confines for Baker of late. With the Cubs being 20 games below 500, a lot of people, quite frankly, surprised the skipper is still around. And when I talked to GM Jim Henry this week, very non-committal. On one hand, kind of a vote of confidence when he said Dusty deserves the chance to manage this club when it's healthy. But then when I asked, well, does that mean he's safe for the season? And he really wasn't biting on that. Now, as for Dusty himself, he has remained remarkably upbeat for a couple of reasons. He recalls back in the mid-90s, a couple of years when he struggled with the Giants and persevered through it. He also said, keep in mind, I am a cancer survivor. And when you're dealing with a life-threatening situation, you're just happy to wake up every morning and see the sun come up.
All right, Bonnie, every day is a gift. Dusty Baker, 3-time National League Manager of the Year. Now let's take a look at the Mets batting order presented by Taco Bell. It will be Jose Valentin at second base, leading off in the absence of Reyes. He's having a fine year. Chris Woodward at short, playing that position for Reyes. Carlos Beltran is in center field, hitting third. Carlos Delgado, the slugger, at first base, hitting cleanup. David Wright, the toast of New York these days, at third base, and a triumph in the All-Star game. Cliff Floyd in left field and looking for a big second half. Xavier Nady, the former Padre, right field. And with Paulo Duque getting the day off, Ramon Castro is the catcher, hitting eighth. And El Duque, Orlando Hernandez, the pitcher, is batting ninth, all up against rookie left-hander Sean Marshall. And Joe, we were here on Sunday Night Baseball back in April for his major league debut.
Well, he's had 17 starts, which is unbelievable for a rookie in this day and age. But he mixes his fastball in, but I think his real key is going to be his control so he can get to the big curveball, which I think is his out pitch. But he has showed the Cubs that he knows how to pitch in the major leagues. He has a lot of poise.
Valentin in the shadows of the late afternoon, and it is ball one. You see the shadows now, and the hitter's backdrop still lit up in the bright sunshine. Into left field, and Matt Merton near the running track. One away.
Well, let's take a look at the Cubs defensively. There you see the defense for the Cubs. And they're eighth in the National League. As you can see, .983 fielding percentage. Not good, not bad, right there.
The question is, are they even as good as the actual fielding percentage, which can be deceptive, right?
Yeah, I don't believe, personally, I don't believe a lot in fielding percentages. Like, I don't believe as much in batting average, but they're still part of the fabric of the game.
Chris Woodward takes a ball down and in. 1 ball and 1 strike. Sean Marshall, the guy who got a lot of time in spring training because of the injuries to Kerry Wood and Mark Pryor. Nobody goes for him. And the throw back to first base, not in time. It came in from Todd Walker. Neither Walker nor Cedeno ended up actually going for it.
Well, that's one of those situations where, you know, when things go bad, little things like that happen. When you're playing well, everybody runs to the ball and they all fight over it. It appeared to me that either Walker or Cedeno, either one of them could catch it. Walker thought Cedeno was going to catch it, and actually he was the closest to it. But I don't think he has any sunglasses on. He's looking up into the sun. Now he looks away.
Walker was convinced that Cedeno was going for it.
Well, Walker has some sunglasses on he's playing with, but Cedeno didn't have any on. He doesn't have any sunglasses on, and it's bright day out there.
So some guys have them, some don't.
Well, the center fielder and the right fielder should have them. The left fielder is in the shade. He's not going to be looking into the sun as much. But it doesn't take anything to carry him out there with him. But very few teams use the flip glasses now where they can put them on top of their hat and flip them down. A lot of team players use regular sunglasses now.
mean, the right side is going to be the Sun field as Carlos Beltran stands in. The sun is going down above the third base side grandstand. And so the first baseman, second baseman, and the right fielders are the guy who would be looking mostly into the sunshine.
The shortstop is still in the sun as well, so you're right. I mean, it's going to be more on the right side, but the shortstop is still standing in the sun.
And I'm going to have to favor Todd Walker in that last pop-up, Joe, for that reason. He's the guy looking more into the sun than Cedeno, although, as you say, he did have the glasses on.
He's in the sun as well, but the ball was right there. And it was closer, actually, to Cedeno, but I think he lost it because he looked up into the sun.
Beltran with a check swing. Did he go? An appeal, and Wally Bell says no swing.
Now, if you watch the pop-up, either one of these guys could catch the ball. Now, you see Cedeno kind of point up, but he was definitely closer to it than Todd Walker was.
And Cedeno, he's lucky the ball didn't hit him.
He was definitely closer to it.
Carlos Beltran, 25 home runs this year. And Sean Marshall blew that one right by him. 3-2. And he was really, to me, he didn't get the MVP award, but I think he was about one strike away from getting it.
Yeah.
In the All-Star game for the National League, when it looked like the National League was about to win that ball game 2-1.
Well, he showed a lot of things that makes him special: stealing the base, getting base hits, and playing defense.
Juan Pierre, and that is out number 2. Beltran is gone, and here comes Carlos Delgado, the cleanup hitter. Cubs starters have not been going deep into games. And their success, as you might imagine, since they get knocked out early a lot, has not been very high either. And they've walked more per 9 innings than any starting staff in the league, save one. 16 teams in the National League. They're 15th in that category. So it is not a pretty picture. Of course, it was supposed to be a starting rotation anchored by Zambrano, Kerry Wood, Mark Pryor, and Greg Maddux as a 4th starter. And it's all on to Delgado. But Kerry Wood has only made 4 starts this year. He's out for the season, trying to weigh whether he should go in for some rehab for the shoulder or some surgery. Mark Pryor is back, but has not yet won a game. He's only made 4 starts. Zambrano's pitching great. Greg Maddux is the number 2 starter. At first base, that's handled by Mabry. And Delgado is gone. Nice first inning for Sean Marshall. Now, El Duque takes the hill. The Cubs are coming up.
Menards is the place where you'll always save big money. Add a decorative touch to your home with pre-assembled PVC fence panels. Cape Cod is $39.99, arched only $59.99. A 6-foot-high semi-private fence, only $49.88. Never paint again with low-maintenance Timbercrest vinyl siding. It's super thick and has a lifetime warranty. Available in 9 colors, double 4-inch, only $5.99 a piece. Service, quality, selection. Menards.
Save big money at Menards.
You're a Mediacom video customer. Add internet and phone and become a VIP. Get it started with Mediacom phone service, including long distance, caller ID, voicemail, and more. Just $29.95 a month. When you do, you'll also get 6 months of high-speed internet service with download speeds of up to 5 megabits per second free. Mediacom video, internet, and phone. The easiest way for you to become a VIP. Call Mediacom today at 1-800-CABLE-TV.
The 14th annual ESPYs, hosted by Lance Armstrong.
I know what you're thinking. What am I doing up here?
Celebrate the best stories of the year, all told in one night, with appearances by Ben Stiller.
Ain't no little bike ride down the Champs Elysees.
Oh. Will Ferrell.
This may be the last time you walk down SB Lane, my friend.
And the brightest stars in sports. The ESPYs, tonight at 9 on ESPN. Presented by the GMC Yukon Denali.
Wrigley Field, Chicago. The Mets have gone down in the first inning, Sunday Night Baseball. And now the Cubs get ready to bat. It's a late afternoon start. Juan Pierre. So we take a look at the Cubs batting order presented by Taco Bell. Juan Pierre in center field. And he's been hitting the ball well lately. Todd Walker, second base, hitting .290. Michael Barrett having a big season. His best year, really. .323 average. Aramis Ramirez is at third base, hitting cleanup. Jock Jones, in his first year in Chicago, is also doing very well. John Mabry plays first base in the absence of Derek Lee. Matt Merton, the young left fielder, and he's come on in the month of July. Ronnie Cedeno, the young shortstop, hitting 8th. He's been slumping big time. And Sean Marshall, the pitcher, bats ninth up against El Duque, 37-year-old Orlando Hernandez. And there's ball 1 to Juan Pierre. And his numbers with the Mets, as you see, they're much better than his overall numbers. He started the year with the Arizona Diamondbacks, and he was getting lit up. And Arizona just decided that they needed to move him, and the Mets, who had lost 2 starters to injury, came calling. His last 2 starts have been sensational. And that breaking ball fouled into the seats off to the left.
I still think they brought him here for the long haul, not necessarily just for the regular season. They feel like they're going to make the playoffs, and they need El Duque's type of pitcher, big game pitcher, guy that can handle the pressure.
Pierre into right field, a base hit.
And I think they still need one more, so we'll see.
Well, the one thing that El Duque does is he gets your attention on the mound. He throws from a lot of different angles, and he's able to keep the hitters off balance. I mean, he knows what he's doing out there, and above all else, he's a great competitor. I think that's the key. He'll go out there sometimes, he will not have good stuff, but he competes so hard that he can get through it.
So now he's got to contend with Pierre. Pierre's off and running. Semi-pitch out. And he's got it anyway. Castro's throw, a hurried throw in the dirt.
Well, good job by Pierre. Don't waste any time. Let's make some things happen if you're the Cubs. And he didn't take a long time to deliver that ball. He didn't go with his high kick, but a good job of timing by Pierre, and he's off and running. It's not even close at second base.
31st steal of the year for Juan Pierre. He is second in the league, only to the Mets' Jose Reyes. Check swing and a foul by Todd Walker, whose job now is to figure out a way to get Pierre to third base, if not home.
And Todd Walker has always been a good hitter, and he knows what his job is. He handles the second slot very well.
And a lot of talk about Todd Walker possibly being traded, maybe even within the next week or so. The Cubs 20 games under 500. Ooh, look at that sidearm breaking ball, and Walker did not get it.
And that was a smart pitch by El Duque, in that he knows he's trying to pull the ball, so he throws something off speed because Walker's going to be out front trying to pull it. Big breaking curve ball, and Walker's way out in front. It was more the speed of the pitch that got him than the break.
The ball and 2 strikes. Pierre at second. The shortstop, Woodward, broke in behind him, but nothing developed out of that would-be pickoff play. Pierre with a long lead from second. Woodward right behind him. And back to the screen. He came in with the high hard one after a couple of breaking balls, and Walker was able to fight it off.
And that's why, you know, we call him a craftsman. He knows how to pitch. He knows how to change speeds. You know, a lot of pitchers just change speeds, but knowing how to make that off-speed pitch more effective is the key for a guy like El Duque. He'll throw you just enough fastballs that you can't look for the slow curve.
1-2 the count now. He spins, but nobody was actually covering at second base. So it was a bluff.
I think that's just to keep Pierre from timing his delivery. You fall into a rhythm sometime as a pitcher when you're concentrating solely on the hitter, and he doesn't want Pierre to figure that out.
And another foul off to the left. Another high fastball. And El Duque got a little reach back power in that one, Joe. 92 miles an hour according to our radar gun.
But I think the key to that pitch is he throws it up when he's trying to, you know, it's a purpose pitch. He's upstairs with it.
And in most cases, pitchers throw harder when their fastball is up than they do when it's down.
The wind, by the way, always an important element of the game at Wrigley Field, is blowing out right now. Check swing foul by Walker. Still 1 ball and 2 strikes. And it's blowing out with some gusto right now. And that is always good news for a hitter, especially if you can get the ball airborne.
First thing you do when you come to Wrigley Field is look to see which way the flags are blowing. I mean, that's just the natural reaction from the hitters.
And really, many people in many walks of life, Joe, always wanting to know which way the wind is blowing. And he got the ground ball up the right side. That will move Pierre to third. And Delgado gets the unassisted put out.
And a good job there by Walker to stick with it, get the job done, move the run over to third with less than 2 outs.
1 out now. Michael Barrett coming up. Not Derek Lee, who's out of there today. With Lee, without Lee, they've been without him most of the year. The Cubs are dead last in the league in runs scored per game. They're next to last in the home runs, last in extra base hits, last in walks. And as you might expect for a team not hitting well, they don't hit well in the clutch either.
Well, they hit really bad in the clutch, but if you look at their batting average and compare it to the Mets do not have a much higher batting average, but they do get some walks and they drive in the runners.
And that's a ball inside. And it tells you, and you brought this up many times over the years, Joe, the Cubs actually, their team average is 265. Right. The Mets team average is 264. Right. The Mets lead the league in runs per game. The Cubs are last in runs per game. Right down the line. That's a fair ball. Juan Pierre in to score. Barrett's going to try for 2. Here comes Floyd's throw, and it's a weak one. A 14-hopper. 1-0 Cubs.
Well, they had the right guy up in the right situation. Barrett has swung the bat well, especially in clutch situations this year. And he's the right guy here, other than Derek Lee, of course. Fastball on the inside part of the plate. And he hammers it right inside the bag. Now, Cliff Floyd gets to the ball, and he gets ready to throw it. Watch, he slips. And that's why Barrett was able to go into second base so easily, and that's why that throw didn't have anything on it.
He was sort of on the outer slope. The bullpen mound actually slopes onto the field of play. You saw that ball roll off to the right as it went over that slope, and he actually stepped onto that in fair ground. This is Aramis Ramirez. The Cubs ahead 1-0. Ramirez takes up and away for ball 1. Now, Ramirez has had a couple of outstanding years with the bat for the Cubs. But that was always in the midst of either in tandem with Derek Lee last year or in the midst of a real impressive array of sluggers when they had Sammy Sosa, Moises Alou, Derek Lee, and Aramis Ramirez. This year, he'd been kind of left alone in there as the big slugger in the middle of the lineup, and he got off to a horrible start. 1-2 the count to him now. And Aramis Ramirez, overall this year, with 16 homers and 54 runs batted in. He leads the club in both categories, hitting only .261. Last season at .298 up to the All-Star break. He had 31 home runs last year and missed the last several weeks of the season with an injury. But he was having a huge season last year until the injury. 2-2 the count to Aramis Ramirez. Jock Jones on deck. Derek Lee yesterday made a dive for a ground ball to the first base side. And apparently every time he makes a dive like that, it takes a toll on his right hand and right wrist, the injury that he sustained. That pop-up behind the plate, and that's going to go back out of play. And Derek Lee, you see he's got the right wrist taped up. Remember, they just had 4 days off at the All-Star break. He played Friday and yesterday made that dive for a ground ball along the first base line, and he's out of there today. They hope, Dusty Baker said he hopes he might be available as a pinch hitter. They have a day off on the schedule tomorrow, so he gets a couple of days this way. But we're very disappointed. We wanted to see him.
Well, the Cubs need him. I mean, he changed the dynamics of their batting order.
Duque's got a good fastball. This must be El Duque's kind of weather.
Yeah, well, I'm sure it is.
Mid-90s, some humidity. He's throwing hard out there.
John, just to point out, yesterday, the Cubs were able to win because Derek Lee was in the lineup. Because Glavine pitched around him in the 8th inning, and they ended up scoring 4 or 5 runs in that inning.
3-2 now to Aramis Ramirez. Barrett at second. He knocked in a run. Only 1 out. 3-2 the count. El Duque, who throws a lot of pitches, very difficult for him to get a complete game. He pitched extremely well in each of his last 2 starts, but went 7 innings and no more. Already pretty much pitched out by that time.
How many people pitch more than 7 anyway? I mean, it's pretty much, 7 innings now is considered an excellent start.
And it was excellent in his case each of the last 2 times. Another foul. And he's having a hard time putting these guys away right now, Joe. A lot of 2-strike foul balls here.
All the best pitchers in the major leagues started the other night. Best records, so forth. And the winners all went 7 innings, 2 hits, 7 innings, 5 hits. They all went 7 innings to win their ball games.
3-2 the count. Cliff Floyd, he can't get it. He was kind of loping back as if they were going to catch that one, no question, and he never did. Barrett scores 2-0 Chicago.
Well, it was a line drive. The ball was hit sharply to left field. Fastball pretty much in the middle of the plate and up a little bit. And the ball is hammered. Floyd can't get back there to make the catch. Just over the tip of his glove.
So it's an RBI double for Aramis Ramirez. And here comes Jock Jones. 2-0 Cubs. Jock Jones hitting over 300. And the curveball outside. 1 ball and no strikes. Jock Jones, another Cub who had a kind of a slow start this year. But then he has really hit well for quite some time after that slow start. Jock Jones in the last 20 games hitting around 360. June and July hitting 326 for these last 2 months. Runner at second. 2 runs in, only 1 out. Now the curveball up and away. Well, we saw Todd Walker get behind with 2 strikes, and he fouled off several pitches. Finally got the ground ball to get Pierre over to third base. And then Aramis Ramirez did the same thing. There have been 9 2-strike foul balls in this inning for the Cubs. They had some very tenacious at-bats. Jock given the go-ahead on 3-0, pops it up. That's Woodward. Floyd in from left field down to left center, and he makes the catch. That is out number 2. Now let's go to the studio. Scott Reese with the Sports Center 30 at 30 update.
All right, John. Kyle Busch wins the Lennox Industrial Tools 300. It's his 3rd Nextel Cup victory. Tony Stewart, by the way, crashed early and is now out of the top 10 in the point standings. And baseball, the Yanks beat the White Sox 6-4. They get home runs from A-Rod and Jeter and a save from Mariano Rivera. That is number 400 for his career. Details on Sports Center after the ESPYs and constantly on your ESPN mobile.
All right, thanks, Scott. I mean, there should be a different category of save. When you come in with men on base and get a full 2-inning save, I mean, there are saves and then there are saves. I mean, he saved that game. Now, don't forget, after the game, the ESPYs at about 9 o'clock Eastern time on ESPN. The top athletes, the best performances will all be celebrated. Reliving some of the great and emotional stories from the past year in the world of sports. Lance Armstrong will host the 14th annual ESPYs presented by GMC and Under Armour tonight at 9 Eastern, 8 Central. John Mabry, the hitter, he's not hit well this year. He's another guy who could be traded, Joe. I mean, they got a lot of guys. Todd Walker, there, a lot of people are talking about perhaps going in a trade, maybe Scott Williamson. But John Mabry is a guy who's always been pretty handy on a good ball club.
Well, I think when you're in the situation the Cubs in, I mean, just about everybody could be traded. I mean, there are very few untouchables on the Cubs team at this point.
And the high fastball, a strike to Mabry, 3-1.
I mean, Maddox has been mentioned, you know, as one guy that may go.
Greg Maddox, who started the year 5-0 and is 2-10 since then. And he threw a curveball in 3-1. Pulled foul. 3-2. Mabry's had 3 hits in 5 lifetime at bats against El Duque. And Maddox, he was asked about being traded, and he said, well, hey, you know, I love Chicago. I love being in Chicago. I love being with the Cubs, blah, blah, blah. But he didn't say absolutely no way. I don't want to leave.
Well, because I think he can even keep that. He can, you know, stay here if he wants. I think part of his contract allows him to stay here.
And that's ball 4. So this is a long, difficult inning for El Duque. 2 runs in, 2 men on. And now Matt Merton coming up, the 7th batter of the inning. And let's go down to Bonnie Bernstein.
Well, I had a chance to speak to both Greg Maddox and Tom Glavine about the situation. The two, of course, teammates for 10 years down in Atlanta. Glavine said when he spoke with Maddox on Friday, he got the feeling Maddox was resigned to the fact he's going to be in another uniform in a few weeks. Now, Maddox does have a no-trade clause, but told me he doesn't have a problem green-lighting a trade because the reality is the only teams that are going to be pushing for him are in contention. But he said, this is all I know. I am an employee, not an employer, and right now my only job is to prepare for my next start.
And that's, I mean, Greg Maddox is a guy who, he kind of downplays everything. When he won his 300th game, he downplayed it. He's accomplished so much in the big league. One of the great pitchers of his time. But somewhere deep down, Joe, although he's loyal to the Cubs and all of that, I mean, I think the Cubs would think twice about trading just because of the value he's brought to the young pitchers in this staff, such as tonight's starter, Sean Marshall. He has kind of taken Marshall under his wing. I mean, Maddox is like having another pitching coach in there, whose words sometimes might reverberate a little more with a young pitcher than the actual pitching coach.
Well, young guys can always learn by watching veteran pitchers pitch.
Matt Merton, the hitter. El Duque's 34th pitch of the inning. Outside, 2-0. Greg Maddox, 325 lifetime wins, 13th on the all-time list of winners in Major League history. 4 Cy Young Awards and 15 Gold Glove Awards. He also had a stretch of 17 years consecutively of 15 wins or more. Now 3-0. It's the 3rd straight hitter to which El Duque has gone to a 3-0 count.
Well, one of the problems, John, is he's overthrowing now. He's reaching back, getting a little bit more on his fastball, you know, when he has to throw it. See, he got his fastball nailed a couple of times by Barrett and Ramirez, and when he's thrown the fastball, he's tried to get a little extra on it, and he's been missing with it.
3-0. That's a strike. I mean, you see this from El Duque, and his listed age is 36.
Do you have doubts?
Well, some people have expressed the opinion that maybe it's more. In fact, word came out of Cuba that he was older than that. Of course, they were unhappy with him in Cuba. That's ball 4. Another walk. He's walked 2 in a row. It's a hot, humid late afternoon in Chicago, and El Duque is laboring under the hot sun. The Cuban native from Villa Clara, Cuba. 37 pitches in the inning.
Well, he didn't want to get this far in the first inning, but I think he realized that Cedeno has been struggling and Merton has been swinging the bat well. So you have the struggling here at the plate now if you're El Duque, and now you can go after him.
Cedeno is just ice cold, but he starts ahead. 1 ball and no strikes. Cedeno is hitting .121 so far in the month of July. 4 hits, 33 at bats.
Carlos Delgado goes over, and that's why I said that the addition of Delgado to this team has been really far greater than his statistics. I mean, he's a leader. He's a guy that helps the young players to understand their roles. And David Wright says he's really helped him a lot. I know he's helped Carlos Beltran. I know he's just the right guy for this team.
Well, the right guy is at third base. 3 men out, 2 men out, and the pickoff throw to first. Wow, that was close. Merton just got back in time, and Delgado did not think so. And he gets into it with Wally Bell. Let's take a look. Ooh. Wow.
I don't. Well, you see the position that Bell's in. He's trying to come around. He's trying to get there, but he can't. And you can see clearly he is out there. His hand didn't hit the bag. You know, Delgado hit his hand, and then his hand hit the bag.
So this inning, by all rights, should be over.
Yeah, but that's a tough position. You know, Bell's down the right field line, and he's trying to get in position to call that play. He's looking from behind Delgado. Yeah. He couldn't get there. He was trying to get there. I was watching his angle. He was trying to get to that angle.
Well, trying to get there is not the. That's sort of an indictment of the umpire, right?
No, you know what happens?
You don't try to get there, you get there.
No, but what happens is a lot of times the third baseman or the first baseman will alert the umpire. We're going to try a pickoff here. I mean, that's one of the things Pete Rose used to do all the time, and alert them that you're going to try a pickoff, and they will cheat a little bit.
And the curveball gets him looking. So the Cubs, after all of that, get only the 2 runs, 8 men bat. 42 pitches for El Duque. David Wright coming up when we come back.
Chevy Impala SS with active fuel management, which means that a powerful 303 horsepower V8 also gets great highway mileage. Since Impala SS gives you 8 cylinders for power and 4 cylinders for better fuel economy. There's also the security of a 5-star frontal crash test rating. The Impala SS. It's a whole new animal. That's an American revolution.
Whoa. These spicy chicken Crunchwrap Supremes are spicy.
Spicy and grilled, so they're good to go.
Spicy and good to go. Have a sip of my soda. Or so tasty, I'm good to go get another one.
Or good to go get a job.
The new Spicy Chicken Crunchwrap Supreme. Shredded chicken simmered in Mexican spices with melty, crunchy, cool Taco Bell tastes. Loaded into a flour tortilla and grilled so it's good to go. For a spicier way to go, think outside the bun.
Brian Deegan's got heart, the kind that gets on a 250-pound motorcycle and tries to make it fly, the kind that knows that only the desire to win can overcome the fear of consequence. X Games 12, August 3rd through the 6th, live on ESPN and ABC.
For 300 horses. Are you sure you're getting all of them? Choose heat-activated Q to help maximize power and let all your horses come out. Q. Unleash all your horses.
Before it became our everyday, it was our someday.
Sunday Night Baseball from Wrigley Field, Chicago. 2-0 the Cubs over the Mets. I'm Jon Miller with Joe Morgan. Bonnie Bernstein here with us. And we head to the second inning now on a hot, humid, late afternoon in Chicago. An early start for Sunday Night Baseball as we'll be leading into the ESPYs coming up tonight at 9 Eastern, 8 Central. Here's David Wright. And he takes a called strike. And Wright, just his story, his star just keeps getting brighter and brighter. He and Reyes coming along really as the the centerpieces of the new Mets. Into the hole at short. Cedeno from shallow left field. In the dirt. Pulled out by Mabry. Wright is retired, one away.
John, let's take a look at the base hit that Aramis Ramirez got in the first inning.
Yeah, an RBI double.
And it was smoked. And we'll give you an example of how the ball comes off the bat.
We have a new toy, Joe. Super slow-mo. And it's like one of those old science films we used to watch in school when we were kids, where they'd show you how stuff really happened. It's cool.
Well, I think the great thing about it is it'll allow you to see why balls are hit certain ways. Sometimes a hitter's swing breaks down, but in regular speed you can't see that.
Cliff Floyd, the hitter, and Sean Marshall throws him a called strike. It's 0-2. Floyd, Nady, and Castro coming up here. 2-0. The Cubs lead in the second inning. Floyd, who had 34 homers last year, he was the big slugger in the club. That curveball, he just got a piece of it to stay alive. 0-2 the count. But he got off to a poor start this year. He had some injury problems. He actually, in a team meeting here on Friday, told the assembled Mets team, he said, I'm going to be a contributor in the second half. Let this club head on into the postseason. And he had a 3-hit game on Friday. Look out. The ball back to the screen, the bat into the 6th row of the seats behind the Mets dugout. And the bat boy brings Cliff Floyd a new bat. And Cliff goes over to the on-deck circle to make sure the bat is just the way he likes it. Sometimes the hitter wants that bat that ended up in the stands. He wants it back. But Floyd going for a new bat. Maybe it's that New York hat the guy's wearing.
Well, a lot of times you have a game bat, and then you have a backup and a backup and a backup. So you always want your gamer, your #1 gamer in the game, but maybe there's not a lot of difference between his bats. That's what you try to find, which one you swing the best with. You weigh them all, and you get a feel for them, and you kind of number them in that order, which ones you like the best.
Curveball high and tight. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Cliff Floyd. Xavier Nady on deck. 1 out, nobody on in the second inning. Sean Marshall and the Cubs with a 2-0 lead. That curveball hit sharply, and Mabry handles it, and that is out number 2. But Joe, you were talking about the double that Aramis Ramirez hit. And a look at it in super slow-mo.
Well, there's a fallacy that your top hand rolls over and drives the ball. Now watch when he makes contact. His right hand is underneath the ball, the bat. Right there that's a level swing. Now watch what happens after the ball is gone. Now you see the finish. Now you see his wrist roll over. So that's the perfect way to swing the bat. A lot of people think that your top hand generates the bat speed, but it really doesn't. That was an excellent view of what happens when you make a good swing. And there'll be times when you'll see that the bottom hand will be underneath. Other times when it's rolled over, that's when the balls pull foul.
Pop fly by Xavier Nady.
Now they're fighting over.
Cedeno takes charge on that one. I got it. Get out of my way. It's mine. 2-0 Cubs. Last of the second coming up.
Okay, guys, now this is the biggest tournament of the season. You all know why we're here.
We're here to win, yeah! Come on, Trevor. Yeah.
How many times have we been over this? This is softball. We're not here to win or lose. We're just here for the Bud Light.
Bud Light? Of course, my bad.
It's okay.
All right.
Put that away.
Refreshingly smooth Bud Light. Always worth it.
7 innings, 32 minutes. I think that's a new record, guys.
Well done!
Do you know what time it is? You already late for practice. You tripping, man.
What up, man?
What's up, superstar? Pick him up, pick him up, pick him up. That's it, good tempo. Let's go.
know what you're capable of doing, but I haven't seen it. Me and Vic gonna do it.
If you're looking for a movie with heart,
I love you, Becky.
I'm pregnant.
sensitivity,
What's the point in having an internet connection if you're not using it to look at dirty sex you'll never have yourself?
then keep looking. Oh, Clerks 2, rated R, everywhere Friday.
Baby Ruth is a great tasting candy bar. And when you have peanuts, nougat, and caramel, you don't need bells and whistles. All right, here's one whistle. But no bells. Baby Ruth from Nestle, official candy bar of Major League Baseball.
You've seen how they play.
There we go. Oh, big puppy.
Now see how they live.
What's up, y'all? This is David Ortiz.
With AT&T Home Turf. Visit seehowtheylive.com for exclusive access into your favorite players' worlds.
You can't just change your name. You can't just get rid of your family. It's who you love. It's who you are. You bleed the colors. This is where you're from. I have to cheer for the Cubs. I have no other choice.
All right. And I suppose on the other side of town, White Sox fans will tell you the same thing. But here at Wrigley Field, they continue to show up in huge numbers. The Cubs going nowhere. Their average crowd is just about 40,000 all year long. And they're on their way to a 3 million paid attendance again this year. And they still are one of the best draws when they're traveling. When the Cubs go on the road, apparently there are a lot of Cubs fans out there who want to see them when they come into almost every other city. Sean Marshall deep into right field. It's a home run. The wind is blown out at Wrigley Field, and it's a pitcher who takes advantage of it. The first major league home run for Sean Marshall.
When pitchers take batting practice, there's one zone that they can usually handle a straight fastball, and obviously El Duque found Sean Marshall's zone.
Ball one to Juan Pierre. See the shadows, both the pitcher and the batter in those shadows now, the late afternoon. There's ball two to Pierre. Pierre hit a single to right his first time, stole second, and then later scored the first run of the game. The Cubs lead 3-0 at the knees for a called strike. I mean, it doesn't look like El Duque is going to be around very long in this game. A 42-pitch labor in the first inning. That is another base hit for Juan Pierre.
Well, let's take a look at this pitch. There's Sean Marshall's zone right there. A fastball right in the middle of the plate, a little above the knees, and he drives it out of the right field onto the right field bleachers. Pretty nice looking swing, actually.
Only his fourth hit as a big leaguer. He's now 4 for 28. His first extra base hit of any kind in the big leagues. Is Juan Pierre's at first, and there's Todd Walker coming up. All right, so Juan Pierre took off on the very first pitch after he singled in the first inning. What about now, Joe?
Well, I mean, he read El Duque perfectly. We'll see what El Duque does to try to stop him. And obviously he throws over there this time. He didn't throw over the first time.
I mean, Pierre,
I don't know the mindset of Juan. When he was in Florida, I would know what he was doing. He's in a different environment now, meaning he's here with the Cubs. And
now it seemed like maybe he was a little later in making his dive back to first that time.
Well, what El what happened was El Duque held the ball longer. And there's a theory, the longer you hold the ball, the tougher it is for a guy to get a jump. And that's just a theory.
Well, was it tougher for you?
No, but I mean, I'm just saying that's the theory that they use. If you hold it, the guy kind of gets tense over there. He waits, and then, you know, he doesn't have the rhythm that he has otherwise. So,
right, so
that's a theory now.
I'm holding it. So.
Yeah, hold the ball a little longer.
Right.
Well, see, Pierre wasn't ready then, so he didn't have to hold it.
Juan Pierre, he's going.
But he got a ball. I mean, if you're going to make that pitch, you got to make sure you throw a strike if you're El Duque, because now he realized you can't pitch out because you're struggling with your control.
Well, you know, when he ran in that first, well, there he goes. Just like you predicted, Castro's throw, he makes it. A one-hop throw, and that might have been the difference between safe and out.
Yeah, it was the difference. If that was a good throw, ball gets there in the air, it would have allowed the tag to be made, you know, cleaner, because you short hop it and then you have to go back down. He didn't get as good a jump this time as he did the first time. See how he has to pull the glove up and then go back down. And so you pull it up to catch the short hop, and then you go back down to get him, and clearly he gets there just before he makes the tag. But that's the short hop. If it had been in the air, he would have been out.
I mean, he just got to the bag ahead of the tag. Paulo Duca, the regular catcher, not in there tonight. After catching in the heat and humidity yesterday, in the day game also, another humid day on Friday. There's Lo Duca. The Duke. Tonight, the pitcher, El Duque. How about, do you think it's a little ironic, Joe, for a guy who defected from Cuba? That's another ground ball to the right side by Todd Walker, just as he did in the first inning. He gets Pierre over to third base here in the second inning.
And that's one of those things that the teammates appreciate, but statistically, you don't get anything for it.
His average is going down.
Yeah, but he did the job twice in moving the runner over third, and you see his teammates waiting for him, giving him a handshake, because he did the job for the team.
But now when Paulo Duca does not catch, and he is getting congratulated in the Cubs dugout, when Lo Duca's not in there, here's El Duque, the guy who fled the regime of Fidel Castro in Cuba, and his catcher is named Castro. I mean, it's El Duque and Castro working closely together.
Maybe that's why he's had so much trouble throwing to the glove or hitting the target.
Maybe just he looks there and it's, I have to throw to Castro. Come on, this it could be, Joe. Maybe psychologically, the Mets should never have Castro catch El Duque. 2-0 the count to Michael Barrett. Castro is from this Castro from Puerto Rico, and he's done an excellent job for the Mets. He's the backup to Lo Duca. The infield is in as Barrett fouls one away. Barrett last year was really, although Derek Lee had the great year, and so did Aramis Ramirez with the bat, but Barrett seemed to be the best guy for the Cubs in the clutch to drive in those big runs last year. And so far, in the month of July this year, he's hitting well over 400. Drove in 61 runs last year. The high fastball back to the screen. Barrett, it's been just the opposite this year. Barrett came into the game hitting only .218 with runners in scoring position. He's got a great batting average this year, but not nearly as good in the clutch, at least so far. He drove in a run tonight with Pierre at third in the first inning. And there's Pierre over there again. David Wright actually is the one infielder who's backed up at third base. The other infielders are in. See how they're playing it. Inside with the curveball. 3-2.
Well, the one thing is, if you're David Wright, he pulls the ball down and you figure he's going to put it sharply, and therefore you'll get the ball quicker than some of the other infielders will.
3-2 the count. This will be the 59th pitch of this game thrown by El Duque, who has recorded 4 outs. Fastball popped up. Delgado with Pierre tagging up. Delgado can't get to it. That would have been interesting if Delgado had reached in and been able to catch that one. To see if Pierre would have tested him. I think he would have come, Joe.
I think he would have tried it with one out. I think it's a good play.
Dusty Baker looking in from the dugout.
But I know Delgado was aware of it as well.
So it might not have been a bad thing for Delgado to see that one go back into the crowd. That one doesn't go out of play, but I get nobody saw it.
Well, he couldn't get there anyway. The infield is playing in, and that's a flare down the right field line. No one could get there. They're just lucky it wasn't fair.
But I'm wondering if they even saw it, because nobody even made a step for it. That's unusual. 3-2 the count. That is foul. The high curveball. 3-2 the count. Sunday Night Baseball a little bit earlier than usual. 17th season of Sunday Night Baseball, and we come to you Sunday after Sunday at 8 Eastern, 7 Central. But tonight we're on early, and we lead into the ESPYs coming up right after the game. The Mets out man so far in this game, 3-0 Cubs, and that ball driven deep in the left field by Barrett. Remember, the wind blowing out, and it's off the ivy. Pierre in to score. Floyd finally comes up with the carom. It's another double for Barrett, and he twice has driven Pierre home from third base with doubles, and the Cubs lead 4-0.
Well, that was a great job of hitting there by Barrett. It was a real slow curveball. It was up is the reason I think he was able to handle it, but he waited. Watch, he'll stride out, see, stops, even stops right there. You can see his momentum stop, and he's able to reach out and get it. He waited. I mean, that's excellent hitting right there, because the ball wasn't inside. It was toward the outside part of the plate, and it was really slow, and he had to really wait a long time, but he did a great job.
Aramis Ramirez, and it's back out of play. Ramirez, after Barrett's first inning doubled him home, and Darren Oliver, who got up during the first inning, is up again here in the second inning. El Duque has only retired 4 hitters. Ramirez is the 13th batter to face him. He's only gotten 4 hitters out, and he's thrown over 60 pitches to get there. Fastball, that's a called strike. And Joe, the only difference in this inning so far than what we saw in the first inning was Marshall, the pitcher, leading off with a home run. Once we get to the top of the order, it's the same inning. Pierre, a single and a steal. Walker moved him over to third on a ground out. Barrett doubled him home in both innings. Out of play. There's been a lot of 2-strike fouls against El Duque tonight.
Well, the problem he's having is everything is up, even the slow curveballs, even the fastballs. He hasn't been able to get the ball down.
$18 foul balls hit by the Cubs. Most of them have come with 2 strikes on the hitter. The runner at second is Barrett. Way outside with that sidearm fastball. 1-2 the count. He hadn't had a hard time getting to 2 strikes on these hitters. And he's had a hard time putting these guys away when he's had 2 strikes. Willie Randolph. Got Oliver getting ready in the bullpen. And he strikes him out with a breaking ball.
Well, he got it down for the one thing. The other one to Barrett, even though it was a real slow curve, it was up. This one is down, and you get the hitter to chase it. You can't get any help from the hitter if you get the ball up. This one's down and diving away, and Ramirez can't even reach it. Excellent pitch by Hernandez.
Great shot. So that one actually off the bat, and the bat actually went under it. Jock Jones now to try and pick up Michael Barrett, the 2 down. Jock flied out to shallow left center on a 3-0 pitch. He takes ball 1 here. Jock Jones with a 1-ball, no strike count. Said his mom is watching the ball game in San Diego tonight. Talks to her every day. Duque steps off the slab. His son, 7-year-old Jock Jr., is at the ballpark today. and no strikes. Jock was very sad today to learn of the injury sustained by his former Minnesota Twins teammate, Torrey Hunter. He apparently yesterday suffered a fracture in his foot. That one is into the gap in right center field. Barrett comes around. He'll score. Jones with a big turn, but Carlos Beltran did a great job cutting that one off in the alleyway and limiting him to a single. But 3 runs are in, and it is 5-0 Cubs. And that's going to do it for El Duque, who does not survive the second inning. After 2 outstanding starts in a row, he's gone after an inning and 2/3 tonight. Darren Oliver coming in. We'll be back.
Baby Ruth is a great tasting candy bar. And when you have peanuts, nougat, and caramel, you don't need bells and whistles. All right, here's one whistle. But no bells. Baby Ruth from Nestle, official candy bar of Major League Baseball.
You need a hand with that gear?
I got it.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
Are you crying?
No.
There's no crying. There's no crying and shipping. My foreman, Larry Lakin, snapped a hamstring, hauling car batteries up 6 flights. Did he cry?
No.
No. And you know why? Because there is no crying and shipping. Now you pick that up, and you get out there, and you ship.
DHL, delivering America's pastime on time.
At Shell, we're constantly raising the bar. Challenging ourselves against the standards set by others. That's why all Shell gasolines not only surpass government standards, they meet top automakers' highest standard.
In an active life, athlete's foot can break your rhythm. Lamisil AT treats it 4 times faster than other leading products, so you get results on the bottom that work their way to the top. Lamisil AT. Go on with the rhythm of life.
Stejně neumí plavat.
Your risks are always evolving. Shouldn't your insurance stay in sync? Travelers.
Sunday Night Baseball from Chicago. Late afternoon. 5-0. The Cubs lead the Mets in the last of the second inning. On a hot, humid Chicago day. And there is Darren Oliver. It ended very early for El Duque, as Yogi Berra was once quoted as saying, it got late early for El Duque. Here is Darren Oliver, the reliever, and that's a strike on the outside to John Mabry. El Duque had one other start this year that was as short, 1 2/3 innings, at Toronto in an interleague game on June 24th. He had 6 earned runs at what used to be called Skydome. Called the Rogers Center. 1 ball, 1 strike.
The problem was that he couldn't get the ball down. I mean, when we looked at all the base hits and the good swings they were having, pitches were up. When he got the ball down, he was okay, but he couldn't get it down consistently.
Runner goes, the throw. It's a steal for Jock Jones. The 3rd steal of the game for the Cubs.
Good job by Jones to read Oliver. You got a great jump. Accurate throw, but too late.
So runner in scoring position now for John Mabry, who walked his first time. Lefty versus lefty. And the slider outside. Slider or cutter. I mean, Darren Oliver is not a hard thrower, but he has an excellent cut fastball that can make life difficult on a right-handed hitter especially. 5-0, the Cubs lead. And that's off the outside. It's a walk. So he comes in and walks the first man he faces. Mabry goes to first. And Matt Merton will come up. El Duque a very disappointing outing after his 2 strong outings against the Pirates and the Yankees. And they get inning in 2/3. Meanwhile, Sean Marshall, I mean, he's allowed only 1 base runner in 2 innings. May feel like he hadn't even hardly been out there. He's been mostly sitting in the dugout watching the Cubs bat. This is the Cubs' 16th hitter already in the first 2 innings of the game. And there's that cutter, a check swing. And Wally Bell rules in favor of Matt Merton. Ball 1. Two runs in the first, driven in by Barrett and Ramirez, and 3 here in the second, including Marshall's homer, Barrett's double, and Jones' RBI single. 2-0 the count. The wind is blowing out, and that could be a cautionary note for Sean Marshall and Cubs fans, Joe. I mean, when the wind blows out of Wrigley, usually there's a lot of runs scored on both sides.
Well, not only that, you mentioned the fact that the Mets lead the league in runs per game.
This is the second baseman, Valentin. The wind carrying it, but he gets there to retire Merton. Sean Marshall heads back to the mound with a 5-0 lead through 2.
Menards is the place where you'll always save big money. Keep your cars and trucks looking new with automotive cleaning products by Black Magic. Choose from wheel cleaner or spray detailer free after mail-in rebate. Keep your garage floors looking great with Epoxy Shield garage floor coating kits. Available in gray or tan, $49.94. Clear sealer and tintable colors are also available. Service, quality, selection. Menards.
Save big money at Menards.
Are you looking for a place where you can laugh and snort and make other funny noises? Then you'll want to watch Tickle You, Cartoon Network's brand new University of Laughter, where kids can laugh along with our hosts. They make funny noises too. Tickle You, weekdays from 9 to 11 on Cartoon Network.
He's no longer in white pants. He's now wearing...
Pickup and SUV. Gasoline and E85 ethanol. Haul and tow. The all-new 2007 Chevy Avalanche, the most flexible vehicle out there.
ESPN's Sunday Night Baseball, presented by Taco Bell. Brought to you by Levi's, the original. Find your style at levisstore.com. And Lowe's, for all your home improvement needs. Lowe's, let's build something together.
From Wrigley Field, I'm Jon Miller with Joe Morgan, Bonnie Bernstein. Now the third inning. Sean Marshall throws a called strike to Ramon Castro. You see the score there, 5-0. The Cubs out in front. The question is now about the success for Marshall of keeping the ball in the yard with the wind blowing out. Although even as we say that, at least for a moment, it didn't look like the wind was blowing that hard. Marshall took advantage and hit a home run to right field in the second inning himself. Castro, then the pitcher, Darren Oliver. The leadoff man, Valentin, coming up. And the curveball in there for strike 3 call. Now let's go to the studio. Scott Reese with this update.
All right, John Kruk here with me as the Braves look for the sweep of the Padres, and Chipper Jones, well, he's contributing to the cause, Krucker. 14 straight games now with an extra base.
And I'm sure that the San Diego Padres are very concerned about the performance of Jake Peavy.
10-5 your final. Braves get the sweep, guys.
Man, 10-5, and they scored quite a few runs in that series in San Diego. They had a 15-12 win Friday, 11-3 yesterday, and 10-5 today. As Darren Oliver is the hitter. And Darren, a pitcher in the big league, but he's a pretty good hitter. 200 average this year. 1-2 the count.
Still early in the game, John, but the one thing that Marshall has been able to do is keep the ball down. And that's something that El Duque wasn't able to do in his brief start.
Curveball, strike 3 call. Talking about Sean Marshall, let's go down to Bonnie Bernstein.
Well, John, it's worth noting Sean never made it higher than Double-A in the minors in 3 years before he got thrown into the rotation in spring training with Pryor's injury. Despite the 5-7 record, though, nothing but positive feedback I got this week from the Cubs. Mike Barrett, the catcher, said he's one of the smartest rookies he's ever worked with. He spent a lot of time with Greg Maddux, soaking up all of the knowledge of a future Hall of Famer. And Dusty Baker said Sean has accomplished the most difficult thing for a rookie to do, getting himself out of trouble. He said, we all know it's easy for rooks to get themselves into trouble, but I haven't had to rescue him a lot this year, and his learning curve has been just tremendous.
And Marshall has been a strike-throwing machine in this game until that curve that just missed. He had thrown 21 of the last 23 pitches in the strike zone. 1 ball, 1 strike. Ronnie Cedeno. And that is his quickest inning yet. 3 up and 3 down in an 11-pitch inning. Now to the last of the third, 5-0 Cubs.
Hallway. Kitchen. Dining room. Here he comes.
The right floor makes everybody happy. That's why Lowe's has the widest selection of any national retailer, whether it's tile, hardwood, or carpet. We'll even install it for you. Lowe's, let's build something together.
Use your Lowe's card and pay nothing for 12 months on purchases of $299 or more in these departments.
Watch this. Oh! Don't touch me. Don't touch me. I'm going swimming. I'm in the pool right now. Wait, in case you missed it, guess what time it is?
Yeah, show me the replay. Hurt me again.
Ooh, look at that drop. I'm just going to shove people on the ground. Excuse me. I have places to go and people to see today. Back inside, back outside, textbook
You take
running.
the noter, I'll take
running.
the dame.
Look at that, look at that.
NCAA Football 2007. Rated E for everyone. EA Sports. It's in the game.
Your engine knows what it wants. Pennzoil Platinum. Relearn what you know about synthetic at pennzoilplatinum.com.
Hanes. Perfect, no matter how you wear it.
The players, the excitement, the bravado is back. The 2006 World Series of Poker, Tuesday at 8, preceded by the World Series of Darts at 7 on ESPN.
Darren Oliver to Ronnie Cedeno, who runs up as if to bunt, takes a called strike. Sean Marshall, the pitcher, on deck, and then Juan Pierre, the leadoff man, due up third in the inning. 5-0. It's been all Cubs so far. They won here yesterday as well. Cedeno on the run. David Wright got it. And one away.
Hey, while you've been enjoying the ball game, we've been watching sports superstars and celebrities converge at the Kodak Theater here in Hollywood.
It was awesome. It was fun out there.
Having a great time. The ESPYs tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern.
And Lance Armstrong will be the host, the 14th annual ESPYs, presented by GNC and Under Armour. 9 Eastern, 8 Central here in Chicago. Sean Marshall hit a home run his last time. And you said you liked his swing, Joe.
Well, he got a fastball right about belt high and middle of the plate. And he did what the pitchers do in batting practice. They try to hit home runs.
Well, he did more than try to this time. I mean, there's trying to, and then there's doing it. And it's his first big league home run. Came on Sunday Night Baseball, as did his first big league start back in April. 2-2 to Sean Marshall. Marshall had had only 3 hits in 27 at-bats in the big leagues until his home run. And he's got another base hit. He dunks one into left field. Now Juan Pierre comes up. Pierre has had 2 singles and 2 steals and 2 runs scored as Greg Maddux talks to Phil Nevin in the Cubs dugout. Juan Pierre. And I mean, he got up to a very slow start. But has been getting it going here the last month or so. He takes a strike on the inside from Oliver. And I'm happy to see him get it going, Joe, because when you know Juan Pierre, you have to root for him. I mean, he's a great guy. And has worked very hard to get where he's gotten today. 1 ball, 1 strike to Pierre. I'm wondering if, I mean, maybe Pierre would be available if you needed a leadoff type guy and a guy who could steal bases at the top of the order. Floyd's going to have to chase it into the gap. Out to the ivy. Sean Marshall, who is the anti-Juan Pierre. And I don't know if that was going to be a triple for Pierre, but Sean Marshall was not yet at third by the time Pierre was already standing at second.
Well, the one problem you have, I mean, it's hot out here. You do not want your pitcher running all out in a situation like that, especially when it's 5-0. You're not sure he could score anyway. I mean, he kind of jogged around after he got around second base.
Pierre at second. I mean, consider that Marshall also got a lead from first base. And that's a called strike to Todd Walker. Walker's had 2 so-called productive outs. He set up runs, moving Pierre from second to third with nobody out. Now he's got a chance for some glory. Knock in a couple. The third, David Wright.
Fastball in on the hands. He couldn't get around on it.
And he didn't get anybody home.
Good pitch there by Oliver.
So it's not just the righties that he gets the ball in on.
It looks like it's got a little cut on it, but it's right on the inside. You can see where it hits on the barrel. Jams him.
So 2 down, and here is Michael Barrett, who has had 2 doubles and 2 runs batted in. He's knocked in Juan Pierre from third base in 2 straight innings. This is his 3rd at bat with runners in scoring position, and it's only the 3rd inning of the game. Now, if they don't get anybody home here, they think it's going to be a little problematic for the Cubs, a little worrisome. Because they will have had chances to get a lot more runs in these first 3 innings, Joe, than they've gotten if he doesn't get anybody home. Remember, they left the bases loaded in the first inning. Got 2 runs out of it. Marshall at third, Pierre at second here with 2 down. In the third, they lead already 5-0. Cliff Floyd. And that is the inning. So, 2 men stranded. The wind's blowing out at Wrigley. The big hitters are coming up. Woodward, then Beltran and Delgado.
Sexton Ford, your #1 new car Ford dealer, will earn your business with low, low prices. A new 06 Ranger, just $12,995 at Sexton. A new 06 Ford Escape will go for $17,395. Jump into an 06 Ford Freestar for just $19,495. Every car, truck, and van has drastic discounts, including used cars. An 05 Explorer 4x4 at a low $16,995. And an 05 Taurus SE, $10,995.
Oh yeah, Sexton Ford is the If you're a Mediacom video customer, become a VIP by adding phone and internet service today. Call 1-800-CABLE-TV. Phone service includes long distance, caller ID, voicemail, and more for just $29.95 a month. High-speed internet features download speeds up to 5 megabits per second, and it's free for 6 months. Add both and start saving today. Just call 1-800-CABLE-TV.
Experiencing a breakthrough. Taco Bell's Big Bell Value Menu, featuring the spicy chicken burrito with shredded chicken simmered in Mexican spices to keep your stomach and your wallet full. Think outside the bun.
Before it became my acquisition, it was my ambition.
Wherever you're going, there's a car company that wants you to get more out of a gallon of gas. Chevy. 9 out of 10 cars we sell get an EPA estimated 30 highway miles per gallon or better. Here's one that doesn't, but it still gets 26 mpg highway. Chevy, we're taking a full tank further. That's an American revolution.
ESPN Sunday Night Baseball, presented by Taco Bell. And we're at Wrigley Field, Chicago. That's a look from up in the hand-operated scoreboard at Wrigley. The bleachers, Waveland Avenue behind the bleachers, and Wrigley itself, 40,000 plus appearing to be on hand. There's Sheffield Avenue. And there's the scoreboard itself, the very item. I don't think they have air conditioning inside that scoreboard. Now that's got to be a hot job today. I mean, the guy posting those scores on the out-of-town scoreboard. You see the Cardinals, the arch rival of the Cubs, won their 7th in a row today, but they beat L.A. 11-2. Philadelphia took 2 out of 3 from the Giants in San Francisco. Phillies, who had a disappointing season and oft mentioned in terms of players being traded by the Phillies. Here's Woodward, left center. Pierre back, looks up, in the wind, gone, a home run. First pitch of the inning, and Woodward out of the yard. Woodward filling in for the injured Jose Reyes. That's his 3rd home run. Now the power is coming up. 5-1 Cubs.
Well, the Mets have averaged 5.1 runs per game. And that offense, they're capable of putting up a big number. So in the ballpark like this, looked like a little breaking ball that didn't do a lot. And Woodward right on it. And Woodward, as you mentioned, playing for Reyes, who has an injured finger.
And now here's Beltran, who has 25 home runs. He flied out to center his first time. Chris Woodward gets the Mets on the board. 5-1 Chicago. Over the outside corner. And it's 0-2. Now the Braves won, as we mentioned. Atlanta's won 5 in a row. If the Mets lose this game, they'll still be 11 games ahead of Atlanta and 11 ahead of Philadelphia after the Phillies won today in San Francisco. So they're not being really pushed hard by anybody at the moment, although Atlanta's got a lot of games left with the Mets, and Atlanta has been suddenly playing real well. And the Braves say they're conceding nothing.
Well, I think they're thinking also in terms of the wild card.
Got curveball, center field, Pierre right there. Hit hard, into an out. Beltran is 0 for 2. Delgado coming up. Let's go to the studio. Here's Scott Reese with the Sports Center 30 at 30 update.
All right, John. Kyle Busch wins the Lennox Industrial Tools 300. It's his 3rd career Nextel Cup victory. Tony Stewart, by the way, crashed early and is now out of the top 10 point standings. And Barry Bonds, who stole a base in each of the last 2 games, today back to his customary power hitting. Career jack number 721. That's 34 from Hank Aaron. Details on Sports Center after the ESPYs and on your ESPN mobile all the time, guys.
Opposite field home run for Barry Bonds today. And there's the look. You can come to Wrigley Field and take a look in from right field now out on Sheffield Avenue beneath the right field bleachers in the corner. catch a little of the action for free. Shades of the old knot-hole game. Delgado, strike one on the outside. Carlos Delgado grounded out to first his first time.
And they have a severe shift on Delgado. In fact, it looks like a softball shift.
Inside. And it's a ball and a strike.
Walker's way out in short right field. Here's Walker way out here.
Delgado just reached out with a flick of the wrist on that one. Out into a fairly deep center field, but right to Pierre. 2 men down.
Well, the key to Marshall's success is that ball. He's keeping the ball down. The ball that was hit hard right there by Delgado, but the pitch was down, so it doesn't go out of the ballpark. The ball to Beltran was down, so it doesn't go out of the ballpark. See where this pitch is? Down, and he's reaching for it. Whereas we were talking earlier, El Duque could not get the ball down. See where the barrel of the bat is traveling, and he's just extending out there to get to it. So even though the ball looked like it was hit hard, he was off balance because of Marshall's location.
I mean, it was kind of amazing it went that far, considering that was the swing.
Well, just imagine how far it would have gone if the pitch would have been up.
David Wright pops a foul out of play off to the right. 1 ball, 1 strike. David Wright not only almost won the home run derby, Ryan Howard beat him out in the final round. Hit a home run in his first All-Star at bat on Tuesday night in the game itself. And then was a guest on David Letterman's show Wednesday night. And now here he is on Sunday Night Baseball.
I don't know which would be the biggest thrill there. I mean, you know, winning the home run derby is a pretty big accomplishment nowadays because it's a big deal. Or hitting a home run, you know, your first at bat.
Well, I think that hitting one in your first at bat's got to count a little bit more.
Well, that's a good question. That's why I pose it, because I mean, you know, Ryan Howard won the Derby, and the Derby's a pretty big event now as well.
David Wright down on strikes. He's 0 for 2. 5-1 Cubs. Aramis Ramirez coming up.
The all-new 2007 Chevy Tahoe. With 320 horsepower and an EPA estimated 22 highway miles per gallon. Get there like never before. Tahoe, an American revolution.
Baby Ruth is the candy bar for baseball guys. Guys who like peanuts, nougat, and caramel every bit as much as a grand slam. And if you're a woman who likes that stuff, want to go to a ball game? Baby Ruth from Nestle, official candy bar of Major League Baseball.
In an active life, athlete's foot can break your rhythm. Lamisil AT treats it 4 times faster than other leading products, so you get results on the bottom that work their way to the top. Lamisil AT. Go on with the rhythm of life.
I hope I said that right. I'm Matt Tucker. Welcome to America.
Oh, you're Chinese. That's cool.
I worked on it all morning.
Century 21.
I know you love me. I know you do. Don't you wish your girlfriend was hot like me? Don't you wish your girlfriend was a freak like me? Don't you? Don't you wish your girlfriend was raw like me? Don't you wish your girlfriend was fun like me? Don't you?
Sunday Night Baseball from Chicago. We're at Wrigley Field. And Darren Oliver on the hill for the New York Mets in relief of El Duque, who lasted only 1 2/3 innings. Cubs with 2 runs in the first, 3 in the second. And a curveball in there for a strike to Aramis Ramirez. He knocked in their second run with a double in the first. He struck out in the second. He's 1 for 2. Chuck Jones on deck. Right field. Maybe. Right at the edge of the warning track. One away.
Let's take a look at Aramis Ramirez's last at bat. He struck out against El Duque, but watch his eyes and where he's looking. That's where he wants to contact the ball. You follow the ball all the way through. You know, it appears that he'll miss the ball. Now look where his eyes are. Obviously, he can't see the ball, but you cannot focus. Your eyes cannot follow a 90-mile-an-hour pitch coming back after it has passed your bat. So it's very interesting.
Here's Jock Jones right back to Oliver. And Jock is now 1 for 3. Delgado with a put out. Jock had an RBI single his last time.
And let's take a look at his last swing. You'll see the same thing. See where his eyes are? That's where he wants to contact the ball. And he does so. You can't follow the ball all the way. You know, most people tell you they don't see the ball hit the bat anyway, because your eyes just cannot come backwards that quickly. You follow the ball out in front, and then you want to contact it at a certain point. Although I've heard some of the great hitters, Ted Williams, say he could see it occasionally.
John Mabry, center field. Beltran over his head, off the ivy, and stuck in the ivy. It disappears. A ground rule double for John Mabry. That's the ground rule here at Wrigley. If it disappears in the ivy, you get 2.
Well, we talked about the wind blowing out. The pitch is pretty much in the middle of the plate. He hits it hard. It's more of a line drive, but the wind does help push it over Beltran's head, and then it lodges in the ivy. You see Beltran waiting for it to bounce off, but it doesn't. Just stays there. And he tells the umpire that it's in there, it's stuck.
Here's Matt Merton. But you know, when the ball goes in the ivy, you have to convince the umpire that it really disappeared in there. You know, if it's somewhere in plain sight, the umpire expects you to go in and get it.
Well, you are supposed to go in and get it if you can see it, if it comes out. It doesn't stick in there.
I don't see it. Matt Merton back to the screen.
Well, there are a lot of balls out there, I guarantee you. Just from batting practice alone.
Did you ever hit one that landed in the ivy like that?
No, I either popped them up or they went over that little screen. No, I mean, I didn't see very many balls. They used to bounce out. I think the ivy's grown a little bit thicker now.
It's this tropical heat wave there.
They used to bounce out a little bit more.
0-2 the count to Matt Merton. And strike 3. Merton dismayed by that call. On to the 5th inning. Cliff Floyd is coming up. His Mets trail 5-1.
Baby Ruth is a great tasting candy bar. And when you have peanuts, nougat, and caramel, you don't need bells and whistles. All right, here's one whistle. But no bells. Baby Ruth from Nestle, official candy bar of Major League Baseball.
Everyone talks about how long their truck will last. When we build a truck, we think way down the road. Toyota Tundra has been factory tested to survive years of abuse. That's why day in, day out, through the worst of the elements and all the rigors of time, nothing stops a Tundra. Toyota, moving forward. Special financing and lease options available now.
If. For such a small word, it packs a wallop. If I live to 100, if Social Security isn't enough, if my heart gets broken, if she says yes. We believe if should never hold you back. If should be managed with a plan that builds on what you already have. Together, we can create a personal safety net, a launching pad for all those brilliant ifs in the middle of life. Call on our expertise and get guarantees for the if in life. After all, we're MetLife.
Christopher, you know how your mom feels about you bouncing that ball on her floors.
Need durable paint that's beautiful too? Get American Tradition paint from Lowe's, made by Valspar, a company with 200 years of paint manufacturing expertise.
2 points.
Lowe's, let's build something together.
Use your Lowe's card and pay nothing for 12 months on purchases of $299 or more in these departments.
were so close in 2003, and I think that if we were that close before, we're gonna have to make it again. Because it would be rude not to.
And rude. It's been rude for the Cubs not to get there after they've been so close so many times. I'm Jon Miller with Joe Morgan and Bonnie Bernstein. Last time the Cubs won it all, 1908. Halley's Comet, which only comes around every 76 years, has passed the Earth twice since then. The last time they won, there was no radio or television. Can you imagine that, Joe? There were no lights for Sunday Night Baseball. I mean, no wonder we didn't have television yet. Couldn't even have Sunday Night Baseball in those days. Cliff Floyd along the left field line. That one is fouled into the bullpen. Giving chase for the Cubs out there, Matt Merton. Cliff Floyd had grounded out his first time. He'll have to come back. Try it again. The wind blowing straight out at Wrigley Field. I think Floyd thought that was clearly going to go foul and started wondering if the wind was going to blow it back into fair ground. See the flags on the center field scoreboard. Out toward Lake Michigan. The Mets, though, with only one run and only 2 hits against Sean Marshall, who has just been superb. 1 strike to count. Right center field. That ball is gone. A home run. A laser beam, just a liner, and it never came down until it was in the bleachers. 5-2 Mets, now trailing by 3.
Well, we talked about Cliff Floyd in the open. I mean, this guy is swinging the bat so well, and he's been just a great hitter his last few years with the Mets. As you mentioned, he hit 34 home runs last year. And I don't think he hit any of them any harder than he hit that one. This ball never gets high off the ground. It's just a line drive, low slider away, and it's just a cut fastball maybe. You can see the spin on it moving away from him. It moves right out on the good part of the bat.
Xavier Nettie chasing a bad ball. 1 strike to count.
Even though he kept the ball down on Floyd there, but we've talked about it in the past. Left-handers, good low ball hitters.
Marshall's given up a couple of home runs, and Nettie misses another one. That one had a little cut to it on the inside. 0-2. Cliff Floyd, 34 home runs last year. He was the big guy. He was the leader in that lineup of the offense. His best all-around year. Maybe checks his swing. An appeal made to Wally Bell. No, says Wally. No swing. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Castro on deck. The Cubs got 2 in the first, 3 in the second. They had runners at second and third, 1 out in the third, threatening to get more, but did not. And that ball is in there. So Nady, who swung and missed at 2 straight pitches to fall in the hole, muscles one into left field for a base hit.
Let's take a look at the pitch that Cliff Floyd hit out of the ballpark. It was a little cut fastball. And watch, he kind of reaches for it just enough. See that ball? He reaches out. Look at that's a beautiful swing. Great balance. The pitch was actually away a little bit.
Just a line drive. And here is Ramon Castro, the pitcher, due up next. Back out of play. And the Mets now are going to get their bullpen going. As Willie Randolph sensing that, hey, they may have a rally going right here. A runner's in, a runner at first, and there is Pedro Feliciano, the left-hander, getting ready in the New York bullpen. Darren Oliver, the pitcher, is on deck. 1 strike from Sean Marshall to Ramon Castro. And that's going to go out of play off to the right. Strike 2.
Who did that?
A souvenir for some fans. Now, why is it if the visiting team hits a home run, Joe, the guys in the bleachers, the guys and the women in the bleachers throw the ball back? But if a visiting player hits one foul into the stands, they keep it.
Well, I would keep it if I was in the bleachers, but I think now it's become a tradition.
Cedeno going out, and he makes the over-the-shoulder catch. Throws back over the first. Not quite in time to double up Nady. Nice try, though. Nice catch. Ronnie Cedeno.
Well, he doesn't have any sun in his eyes this time. He goes out, makes the over-the-shoulder catch. Now he turns and fires. So you can see there's no sun on his face, so that means that there was no glare. He makes sure the catch, then he looks to make the throw back to first base.
And the throw back to first, and it was, I mean, the first baseman never had his foot in the bag, but I mean, Nady had to get back in a hurry on that one. Now Eli Marrero is going to be the pinch hitter for Darren Oliver. And Oliver did an excellent job for 2 1/3 innings. He stopped the bleeding, as it were. He came in with the score already 5-0. And he shut him down while he was in there. Back to the bag is Nady. Eli Marrero, the veteran, a pinch hitter. And he has had only 1 hit in 20 pinch hit at bats this year. Marrero, he's a handy guy because he can play all over the field. Right on the outside from Sean Marshall, strike 1.
And throughout his career, he's actually been a good hitter, John. He just struggled pinch hitting this year, but he's been a pretty good pinch hitter over the course of his career. There you see the shadows of pretty much encompass the whole infield now.
Marrero swung at a bad ball that time, 0-2. Marrero was with the Colorado Rockies, and then on June 9th, the Mets traded for him. They sent Kaz Matsui to Colorado in that trade. He's made 1 start behind home plate. He's been in 8 games at first base, a game at third base. He started in left field 5 times. He started in center field and started in right field. So he's played just about everywhere except shortstop and second and pitcher. There's Omar Minaya, the Mets general manager, executive vice president, general manager, always looking for young talent for the Mets. That one missed. 2-2 the count. Crowd didn't think so.
Well, let's take a look and see what K-Zone thinks. No, it's a little bit off. Quite a bit off, actually.
The crowd didn't know what they were booing about there. K-Zone said no, it's way off the outside. 2-2 the count. Tough pitch. Strike 3. Looks like he took a little something off that one.
Well, he has done a good job no matter what. He's given up the 2 home runs, but he's been keeping the ball down. I think that's the key to his success so far in this ball game, and I think that'll be the key to his success all the time, just keeping the ball down.
2 down, Nady still at first, and leadoff man Jose Valentin coming up. By the way, the temperature, the official temperature at game time was listed at 95 degrees tonight. A little bit after 5 o'clock local time. Pierre in center, got plenty of room for this one, and that is the inning. Valentin is gone. Stay tuned. In 60 seconds, we're going to visit with Willie Randolph from the Mets dugout at Wrigley Field. Back with Willie Randolph, 60 seconds.
He's no longer in white pants. He's now wearing...
Firestone Complete Auto Care is making it easier than ever to save during our biggest tire event of the year. Drive an SUV or pickup? Then buy 3 of our popular dueler tires and get 1 free. Or choose from hundreds of other tires, any size, 1 low price. Like performance tires, any size, just $60. Bridgestone tires, any size, just $70. And for a limited time only, take advantage of our special credit terms and pay no interest till 2007. That's complete savings. That's Firestone Complete Auto Care.
Give me whatever you want.
Jon Miller, Joe Morgan, Bonnie Bernstein here at Wrigley Field, Chicago, and we're pleased to be joined now by the Mets manager, Willie Randolph, from the Mets dugout. Willie, welcome to Sunday Night Baseball.
How you doing, guys? Hey, man. We saw Pedro out there throwing, before the ball game. What is the latest?
Well, he had a nice little side session today. He didn't really go real hard, but after the food poisoning over the break, he's feeling a lot stronger. So we'll try to get him back on the mound on Tuesday, and hopefully by the end of the week we'll have him back in the rotation.
El Duque, uncharacteristically, was off today. What did you see?
Yeah, he's been off and on with his control since he's been here. He's pitched some good games for us, but very uncharacteristically, he's struggled with his command, which is very unusual for him. But we got to get him back in the groove because that's not the way he pitches. When he's under control and hitting his spots, he can be real effective, of course.
Well, you've added Cliff Floyd. All of a sudden, he's starting to swing the bat. What does that do for your offense?
Well, you need him, man. Those kids, he's been big for us last year, and into this year, we need him to step up for us. So hopefully the second half he'll heat up for us because we need him to come through big time with the rest of the guys swinging the way they do.
All right, thanks a lot, man.
Okay, guys, take care.
All right. Willie Randolph from the Mets dugout. And we want to let him get back to work now as the Cubs are coming up. He's brought in a new pitcher. Here's Pedro Feliciano on in relief of Darren Oliver, who went 2 1/3 scoreless innings. So Feliciano to face Ronnie Cedeno. And that's a ball outside. Cedeno is 0 for 2. Second place hitter Todd Walker 0 for 3. And everybody else, including pitcher Sean Marshall, been knocking out base hits for the Cubs. They had 10 hits in 4 innings. And that's ball 2. Marshall is out on deck, 5-2. I keep thinking, Joe, they jumped out with those 5 runs in the first 2, but I think they need more.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you can't wait around because the Mets are capable of putting a big number on the board. Tough play.
Woodward, the hard throw, not in time.
That was a tough play because he had to go and get the right hop. So he ran away from the ball. That makes it a very difficult play and a longer throw. I think if he figures now, he would have probably tried to cut it off. It would have been more of a do-or-die play, but you got to cut it off. See, he's running away from it, and the deeper you go, the longer the throw, and there's allows the base Cedeno to beat it out. And Cedeno's been struggling, but he hasn't stopped hustling, and he beats this play out. But the hop forced Woodward deeper.
And there's ball 1 to Marshall showing bunt.
You mean they're going to make him bunt?
He's got the only home run for the Cubs tonight.
And a single.
2 for 2. Cubs who have hit fewer home runs than any other team in the league.
Actually, I don't think Dusty wants him on the bases anymore either.
It's hot. Tonight, I was starting to mention a little while ago that 95 degrees was the official game time temperature. That was the hottest temperature at game time at Wrigley Field in the last 7 years, since around this time of the year in 1999. So it's 2-0 to Marshall as Feliciano not been able to throw him a strike when Marshall's trying to give himself up here. That's a strike. 2-1. The Mets bullpen getting ready behind Feliciano. There's Chad Bradford, the right-handed submariner. That doesn't sound right. Submariner? Submarine-style pitcher. Back to the bag.
I like that.
This is Cedeno. Cedeno with 5 steals. Looks like a guy who could steal more than that because he showed pretty good speed on that ground ball. And he needed a hit. Only 4 for his last 35. The bunt, but foul. So Marshall has not been able to get that bunt down yet. 2-2 the count. Dusty Baker. Of course, he's seen this all year. I mean, the Cubs have had a lot of breakdowns in a lot of areas. Getting bunts down.
Catching pop-ups.
Catching pop-ups, yeah. They
turning double plays.
Had one that was not caught here tonight that did not cost them, but Cedeno's inability to turn a double play Friday cost them dearly. Bunted at and missed. Strike 3. One away. A wasted out. Now Juan Pierre comes up. Pierre is 3 for 3.
And contrary to popular belief, it is easier to bunt than it is to hit in most cases.
In fact, I'm thinking a bunt wouldn't be a bad play for Juan Pierre. I mean, he bunts for the hit. Tonight, though, he's swinging the bat. He's got 3 for 3. 2 singles and a double, 2 steals, and 2 runs scored. Remember, he made a statement in that 2003 World Series at Yankee Stadium. As the first batter in the first game of the World Series, he bunted for a hit. And it changed the way the Yankees played defense for the rest of that World Series.
Well, his speed threatened, and they had to adjust.
One strike the count. That's foul and into the seats in a hurry. Look out. 0-2 the count. Remember that, how Joe Torre had Alfonso Soriano play in just about every other time Juan Pierre came to bat in that World Series. I mean, the second baseman Soriano played in on the edge of the grass, trying to keep him from drag bunting. To the count. Now Feliciano steps off the slab, looks Cedeno back. No bunting tonight by Pierre, and he's been hot lately anyway. 3 more hits tonight. To the bag, Cedeno. 5-2. The Cubs out in front in the 5th inning. Rick Peterson in the foreground there with Willie Randolph. Going through some, looks like some computer printouts there. The runner goes, holding his position there, Valentin, and he throws out Pierre. Cedeno moves over to second base.
Hey, while you've been enjoying the ball game, we've been watching sports superstars and celebrities converge at the Kodak Theater here in Hollywood. What's happening?
Bam! That's horrible!
The ESPYs tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern.
Stay tuned for the ESPYs, the 14th annual ESPYs. Lance Armstrong will be the host, presented by GMC and Under Armour. 9 Eastern, 8 Central, 6 Pacific. And then next Sunday, we'll be back at our normal time, 8 Eastern, Sunday Night Baseball. Here's Todd Walker, who was 0 for 3 tonight, a night where the Cubs have 11 hits, and Todd Walker does not have any of them.
And he's one of their best hitters.
Todd Walker, 2 of his outs tonight, though, have moved runners from second over to third base in a no-out situation, which were very productive outs. That's where you make an out, but you do your job. And I don't understand, Joe, you get credit for a sacrifice if you bunt in that situation. Why not just give the guy the same credit when he swings away and gets the guy over? I mean, especially with nobody out. If it's 1 out, that's a different story.
Well, that's one of those things that managers keep in their head. There's not a statistic for it, but I think the manager realizes who gives himself up in certain situations. I mean, they're trying to make a statistic called runners moved and stuff like that, but I think we have enough statistics already.
It was Dusty Baker.
Yeah, because Marty sits there with 1,000 statistics for us.
Marty Aronoff, our statistician. He's got all that stuff. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Did you know that Jock Jones, by the way, Marty gave me this stat. Jock Jones has hit over 300, Joe. But when the count has gone to 0-2,
he can't get a hit.
He has not had a hit the whole year.
I saw that. I mean, that's amazing.
0 for 53 when it's gone to 0-2, and yet he's hitting over 300. Just got a piece of that one. Tough slider from Feliciano. Walker still alive. 2-2 the count.
That's like the statistics where a guy strikes out 160 times a year, but he still hits 300 because when he puts the ball in play, it's close to 400.
Yeah. Usually, though, you would figure, just intuitively, you would figure that a guy who hits 300 would also get some hits when he's behind 0-2.
Well, you get jammed or you hit one off the end of the bat, and especially with the speed of Jock Jones, you might chop one and beat it out.
2-2 to Todd Walker. There is Cedeno at second base. 2 down. He's ready to go on anything. Feliciano, the pitcher. Down the left field line, foul.
You know what? I don't know if I accept that statistic. We're going to have to check on that. I mean, you can't go 53 at bats without without at least getting one base hit or bloop or something. I mean, I know, but I'm just saying.
It doesn't seem possible.
No, it doesn't. I'm going to have to check that statistic. And sometimes they are wrong now.
Oh,
yeah.
For 53.
Right. Sometimes statistics are incorrect.
There are no other big leaguers who've had even 20 at-bats with 0-2 counts who have not had a hit after falling behind at 0-2. Not even with as many as 20.
I saw that statistic today, and I was going to ask Jock, but it was he'd already gone in. I was just going to ask him about it if he was aware of it.
I'm amazed that it got to 0-2 against him that many times. Because he's up there, he hacks. 3-2 the count. Struck him out with a curveball. 5-2 Cubs. The big hitters coming up, including Beltran and Delgado. And in 60 seconds, we'll visit with Dusty Baker, the Cubs manager from the Chicago dugout.
It's Clearance 2006 at Lou Jack Chevrolet. Clearance time at the Quad City's largest means you can be driving a new Aveo for just $99 a month or a new Cobalt for just $12,895. Lou Jack Chevy, just south of the North Park Mall in Davenport.
When they first came in, I thought, whoa.
Actually, the name is Lowe. Larry Lowe.
They are so little. Oh, we're not little. We are low. Larry, Luke, and Lula all wanted to become members. They wanted low risk, low rates, and the low down on fees.
Oh, we may be the lows, but we have high expectations. As members, we get free checking, 1% off transferred loans, and really low rates. And Mom can do everything online. And it's only a 2-track community credit union. Now that is totally low.
Take the Hyundai Challenge during Clearance 2006 at Lou Jack Hyundai. Drive home in a new Sonata for just $199 a month or a new Tucson for $17,995. Lou Jack Hyundai, just south of the North Park Mall in Davenport.
Late afternoon, early evening in Chicago. Sunday Night Baseball presented by Taco Bell. I'm Jon Miller with Joe Morgan and Bonnie Bernstein, and we welcome to Sunday Night Baseball Dusty Baker, the veteran manager of the Cubs from the Chicago dugout. 5-2, the Cubs lead the Mets. Dusty, welcome.
Hey, how you doing? Hey, man, I wanted to ask you a question about, you've had the injury with Pryor and Wood each year now. Do you have something to look forward to next year?
Well, I think so. I mean, we got some good young arms like you see in Sean Marshall there. I mean, this young man barely has any time in Double-A. We got Carlos Marmol, and hopefully we'll get Pryor back. We're not sure about Wood, but yeah, man, I think we got a good nucleus here, and we got some good young arms. Got a great bullpen. I love my bullpen, so just a matter of getting to them.
How about the offense? You guys, you have a decent batting average, but you haven't walked, you haven't done anything along those lines.
Well, and we need some more long ball too at the same time, and especially in this ballpark. You see this wind going out today here. They've out-homered us almost 2-1, so you need another big bat. Like in today's game, these guys, I'm counting out over here, they have like 8 guys on the field that can reach the fences, and I just hope those runs that we left out there early on second and third doesn't come back to haunt us.
Dusty, many thanks.
All right, I'll see you later. Thank you. All right.
Dusty Baker, and as always, we always want the manager to be able to get right back into managing when the inning starts. And here is Chris Woodward to lead off for the Mets at Wrigley Field against Sean Marshall.
He followed your idea there about the runs they left out there early and whether they're going to come back to haunt him. And we all know that there's been a lot of talk, not only here in Chicago, but nationally about, whether Dusty should stay or will he stay, et cetera, et cetera. I break things down very simply, John. The only thing that matters in this game are wins and losses. Everything else is pretty much window dressing. I mean, we can talk about the injuries to Pryor. We can talk the injuries to Wood. We can talk about the slumps. We can talk about all the things that have gone wrong for the Cubs this year. But the ultimate gauge is going to be wins and losses. And you have to decide, if you're Jim Hendry, whether those wins and losses are caused by Dusty Baker or caused by the makeup of this ball club. See, I look at this ball club, and I've looked at it for the last 3 years, and they were always seem to be depending on Pryor and Wood to come back and be the leaders of the staff. I always thought that was a mistake. I felt like, in fact, we were here earlier, and I said anything you get from them should be a icing on the cake. You should be preparing to go to war without those guys. You should be preparing to play for the whole season with some other pitchers. And I think they should have gone out and brought in some other major starters. you know, to help them, and they definitely needed some more offense, as Dusty just alluded to, some guys that can hit the ball out of the ballpark. You know, we're at a position now, and obviously without Derek Lee, it made it even, the focus was even more on the offense that wasn't producing. But I just think that, you know, they brought Greg Maddux in here, who was a fine pitcher, and he still is, but he wasn't the #1 or #2 guy anymore. You know, they have Carlos Zambrano, who is everything you could ask for, but they need another horse somewhere in that rotation.
Woodward battling it out with Marshall. 2-2 the count, with Carlos Beltran and Carlos Delgado to follow. So the big sluggers are following. Woodward hit a home run his last time up in this game. Well, I mean, it's a very good point, and even Jim Hendry now admits that maybe the reliance on those two big guys as the centerpiece of the rotation was a mistake. In center field, Juan Pierre, and Marshall has retired Woodward. One away. Now the big sluggers, Beltran and Delgado, coming up. Well, in 2003, most of the year they were active at the same time, and the Cubs were 5 outs away from getting to the World Series. Well, then the next season they were active together at the same time, less than half the year, only about a third of the season last year, and not at all this year.
And the one point that Jim Hendry made in the conversations with our ESPN people is that last year Pryor made 27 starts, so he was expecting, that included getting hit, you know, with a line drive, so he figured he would be okay. So that's one of the reasons he felt like he didn't need to go out and maybe bring in someone. But I have to tell you, as everyone knows in this game, you never have enough pitching. You know, you just can't have enough pitching, because guys do break down. You do have times where they get overworked and they're not going to be as effective, you know, for 35 starts or 30 starts. But I definitely agree that the offense is more of a...
That ball is hit a mile foul down the left field line. That may be out toward the fire station. They got a little waterworks going over there. Right in that corner is the firehouse. Out on the other side of Waveland Avenue, behind Wrigley Field. They might have gotten a souvenir out there.
But John, one other thing about it, it's not just about home runs. When you look at this offense, they do not get a lot of walks. They do not move the runners that well. They do not hit with runners in scoring position. All of those things add up over the course of the season. Because you mentioned that the Mets and their batting average are pretty much similar.
Past Marshall and juggled by Walker. And this is the wrong time in this lineup to be making a mistake on defense. Beltran is safe on the error by Walker.
Well, we talked about the errors. I mean, they're pretty much in the middle of the pack as far as defense is concerned. He never caught it cleanly. The ball was in the tip of his glove, and he knew he had to hurry because Beltran was running.
Clearly beat it out. And yeah.
Well, Dusty realized, he talked about the fact that the wind is blowing out, and anytime you put men on with a team like the Mets, I mean, they're capable of hitting the ball out of the ballpark. So you're actually just putting more potential runs on base, and you only have a 5-2 lead.
This guy has hit 22 out of the yard this year. Carlos Delgado. And again, they overload on the left side toward the middle. And back to the bag at first is Beltran. As we saw in the All-Star game, Beltran, not as prolific a base stealer as he once was, but he can still steal a bag if you don't keep an eye on him. Beltran with 12 steals in the regular season this year. Carlos Delgado had a great start to the season. That is a called strike from Sean Marshall. For the first time, the Cubs are going to get some activity going in their bullpen.
And John, I've been saying this for 3 years, and that is the defense is far more important now than ever before. And we see the web gems every day and all the great plays, but that's not what defense is all about. Defense is making the routine plays and getting the job done. The great plays take care of themselves.
Pierre on the run, dives and can't get it. Beltran will go to second. A base hit for Delgado just in front of Pierre. Now 2 men on, and David Wright is coming up as the possible tying run of the game.
And you know what's funny, John? The reason that he wasn't able to make that catch is the bat before by Delgado. He reached out with one hand and he hit the ball and it went so far. So he's playing deeper than probably would have if he would not have hit that ball over his head before he had to go back and catch it. And you can see he gives it a great attempt, but he can't come up with it.
Larry Rothschild, the pitching coach, is coming in now. It also looked from that replay, Joe, as though he was a little late engaging it. He hesitated a moment and then came rushing in, which also might go back to that previous at bat. So the Cubs are in a little bit of trouble here in the 6th inning. 2 men on, 1 man out, and David Wright, fresh from the All-Star game, a 23-year-old. Third baseman of the Mets, the star of the David Letterman show the other night. I saw that show. I mean, he is such a refreshing personality. Nothing seems to get him down. His first at bat in the All-Star game, he hit a home run against Detroit's Kenny Rogers.
Well, that's something you'll never forget, is that first home run in the All-Star game is like your first home run in the major league. You never forget those things.
13th player in history to homer in his very first All-Star at bat. He's got 75 RBIs in the regular season. 2 men on, 1 man out. Sean Marshall in a jam. A little bloop. Falling in there. Base hit. And the bases are loaded. Beltran had to hold from second base to make sure that it fell in. Wow. I mean, it's not like they're beating up Sean Marshall here, and yet they had the bases loaded.
Well, that's the problem. When things aren't going well for a team, little things like that happen. I mean, in the normal, when you're playing well, you make an error, as we saw Todd Walker do, and then the next guy hits a ground ball, you get out of it for a double play. But when you're struggling, that doesn't happen. As you can see right off the end of the bat, and David Wright kind of flips it in the shallow right field, and you have to respect his power, so you can't play shallow enough to make that catch. So now the bases are loaded. But the one thing, remember what Dusty said, is he doesn't have to go out and get this guy very often. He knows how to get himself out of jams, and he's definitely in one now.
Cliff Floyd is grounded to first and homered to right center. Too low with a changeup. So again, with 1 out, Beltran had a routine-looking ground ball to second, and Todd Walker couldn't handle it and went as an error. Delgado then looped one in just in front of the onrushing Pierre for a single, and then David Wright with a little lob into shallow right field for a single. He's making good pitches, but not getting anybody out. Infield double play depth for Floyd. Strike on the outside. Floyd didn't think so.
Well, it was a great pitch, because if he misses with that 2-0, I mean, Floyd's in the driver's seat completely. He's going to have to be able, he can sit on a pitch and look for an area. And Floyd may have had a little bit of an argument there.
1-1, and I mean that's the difference between a 2-0 count.
Right, and that's the big difference.
And instead, 1 ball, 1 strike to count. Bases loaded, 1 out. Big moment of the game right here. 1-2.
I guarantee you wouldn't have been able to throw that fastball by him had it been 2 balls and no strikes.
Cliff Floyd is hitting only about 190 against left-handed pitching this year. But he does have a home run against this left-hander tonight. Now he's behind in the count, 1-2. Beltran, Delgado, and Wright, the 3 runners. Time taken. And now Michael Barrett is going to run out and talk to the young lefty. Sean Marshall, who is from Virginia. And there is Roberto Novoa, the big hard-throwing right-hander up in the Cubs bullpen. Sean Marshall went to Virginia Commonwealth University. He got a twin brother, Brian, who was a 5th-round draft choice of the Boston Red Sox 3 years ago. Sean Marshall is in a jam here, facing the veteran Cliff Floyd. Back in left field, and And that's a home run! A grand slam for Cliff Floyd. Up into the wind and into the basket. And 4 score. The Mets have gone ahead 6-5.
And John, we talked about this when it was 5-0. The Mets are averaging 5.1 runs per game, and the wind is blowing out. So it just does not, you do not have a safe lead at any time. This pitch is away, and it's the same pitch that was called a strike, and he goes out and gets it. Look at the delay of his hand release right there. He never rolls his left hand over the top. Look at that. That's a perfect example of a good swing right there when the ball's away from you. See, he never rolled his top hand over.
So, an error and 2 bloops, and then an opposite field windblown grand slam. And Cliff Floyd with 2 homers and 5 RBIs tonight. And the changeup, Nady didn't get it. 1 ball, 1 strike.
That was the old bloop and a blast theory that teams talked about when they're behind. We need a bloop and a blast. Well, they got a couple of bloops and a blast.
Cliff Floyd promised his teammates on Friday that he was going to be a much greater help to them in the second half of the season. Cliff Floyd alongside Jose Reyes in the dugout. Let me tie you down, man.
Well, one thing we talked about in the open is that Cliff Floyd was going to be a big help to him down the stretch because he really balances this lineup.
Floyd has had 4 hits in these 3 games and 6 runs batted in. The first 3 games of the traditional second half of the year. And that's ball 4. Nady is aboard. Still only 1 out. And here comes Dusty Baker.
And it's kind of hard for Dusty to go out there at this point.
Marshall deserved a lot better. Novoa is going to come into the game. Cliff Floyd comes home to Chicago. He's from this area. And there's Novoa coming in. A grand slam for Floyd to the opposite field. And that has put the Mets ahead 6-5. What a year for Dusty and the Cubs.
You need a hand with that gear?
I got it.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
Are you crying? No. There's no crying. There's no crying and shipping. My foreman, Larry Lakin, snapped a hamstring, hauling car batteries up 6 flights. Did he cry? No. No. And you know why? Because there is no crying and shipping. Now you pick that up, and you get out there, and you ship.
DHL, delivering America's pastime on time.
Critics are raving.
I thought Sam was going to saunter over to Frodo.
Hey, they're not gay. They're hobbits.
It's the funniest movie since Wedding Crashers.
I was going to see something like that.
4 stars.
Did you know Jesus was a Jew?
Yeah.
Clerks 2 rated R. Everywhere Friday. People everywhere are experiencing a breakthrough. I'm full! Taco Bell's Big Bell Value Menu featuring the spicy chicken burrito with shredded chicken simmered in Mexican spices to keep your stomach and your wallet full. Think outside the bun.
The German word for safe is sicher. The Portuguese word for firewall is muro de fogo. The Chinese word for password is mima. My company's in 17 countries now, and I can say secure in every one of them.
Dynamic networking from AT&T identifies security threats before they're problems, so Jane's confidence grows right alongside her company. The new AT&T, your world delivered.
There's a reason these top drivers trust Q technology to help maximize power, success, and most importantly, their horses. Q, unleash all your horses.
4 runs are in for the New York Mets, and they are still batting with 1 out. A new pitcher's come on. Novoa, hard hit grounder by Castro. There's the throw to second, dropped by Todd Walker. a would-be double play ball with the catcher, Castro, having hit the ball. And Ramirez throw right there, and Walker dropped it. And this rally that started with an error by Walker continues on with that error.
Well, John, the first error, obviously, let's take a look at this. A great play by Ramirez. He comes up with it. Now, he makes an accurate throw. It was down a little bit, but it's an accurate throw. And I think he was just trying to make sure he could get the double play away. It looked like he hit him on the heel of his glove. Right. He never caught it. It hit on the heel of his glove. What I was going to say is that first error, it started the inning with 1 out, didn't cause all this to happen. There's some bad breaks, the bad luck, like I say, when things are going against you. Pierre misses making a great catch on Delgado just by an inch or two. The ball that drops into right field, the balls that are dropping in, those are not all Todd Walker's fault.
Now Andy Chavez, the pinch hitter for Feliciano.
Because his first error didn't keep the inning going. You know, it wouldn't have been the third out of the inning. I mean, obviously it's not good to make an error, but all of this can't be blamed on that first play. Now what happens now after the double play attempt, you have to, you know, kind of point a finger at it.
Well, all of it. I mean, the error and the bloops.
Right. That's what I was saying.
And then you had the wind blowing out.
Right.
And the grand slam on what otherwise might have been just a routine fly ball to the left fielder.
That's why I said a lot of this is, you know, just bad luck on the part of the Cubs. I mean, things are happening.
Andy Chavez just got a piece of that one. 1 ball, 2 strikes to count. Facing Roberto Novoa. Valentin is on deck, the leadoff man. Chavez is the 8th batter of the inning. There is Will Oman, the left-hander, up in the Cubs bullpen now. Now the Mets lead 6-5. They want more. Along the right field line. That's falling. That is a fair ball. Coming around third to score is Nady. Going to third is Castro. And the wind may have blown that one back and kept it fair.
Well, there's been 1 ball hit hard this inning. Well, 2 actually. A great play by Ramirez at third. Stopped the other one, but only Floyd's base hit was hit hard. Here's another one. This looks like it's a little slider down and in. It hits him right off the end of the bat again. And it's a little flare. I mean, you can see his arm was bent. Look at this. Look at this. Watch this. No extension, anything. He's just trying to fight it off. Right off the end of the bat. And as you said, John, the wind may have helped keep it fair.
The wind is blowing straight out. And I think without that wind, that ball would have dropped on the foul side of the line, maybe by several feet. Just barely fair as it was. Chavez is a guy who's got a lot of speed. And so Novoa makes a throw to first base. Here's Valentin. The sun setting to the west, peaking between the upper and lower decks. The runner goes, and it's a steal, and he stole it easily. Castro wasn't going anywhere from third base. Chavez 7th steal of the year. So now second and third, only 1 out. 7 consecutive Mets have reached base since Woodward led off the inning with a fly ball out to center. There's Castro at third with Chavez over at second. And Valentin, the 9th batter of the inning. And the Mets want more for the same reason that Dusty was worried that his team didn't get more early on. The wind's blowing out. There may be a lot more runs yet to be scored in this ballpark on this night. But the Mets, and they're kind of making Dusty's point for them. Cubs are getting out-homered here at home by a significant ratio tonight and all the time, all year.
He said something like 2-1.
Well, the Mets coming into this game, or I'm talking about the Cubs. The Cubs coming into this game had hit 35 home runs in their home park and had allowed 66. 3 more tonight, so that's 35. Well, they hit one themselves. 36 hit, 69 allowed. And that's not the way it's supposed to happen.
No, not in your home park. And not in the friendly confines of Wrigley Field, if you listen to Ernie Banks.
Well, it's been real friendly if you're a home run hitter coming in from out of town. Runners at second and third. The infield is in. Cliff Floyd's grand slam along the left field line. And that's out of play. Merton gave chase. Now, Cliff Floyd is from this area. We were talking about that. And Bonnie Bernstein was talking about the fact that he got a lot of family and friends here tonight.
Yeah, well, he's really one of the few African-Americans who hail from Chicago, made it to the majors. He's got 30 friends and family sitting behind home plate, so he's really savoring his 6th Grand Slam. Cliff had a bit of a scare in spring training, diagnosed with high blood pressure and some kidney problems. The kidney problems being hereditary. His dad actually had to have a transplant when Cliff was a teenager. But the good news is Floyd stopped taking the medication about a month ago. He's feeling great. He's looking forward to being a major contributor for the Mets in the second half, John.
And I mean, for me, Cliff Floyd is one of the great gentlemen of the game, and a guy who's gone through a lot of adversity in his career. He really burst out last year with the 34 home runs, and that's up and away now to Valentine. I mean, he was a guy who had so much talent, and he just always seemed to be in harm's way. He had a horrible injury playing first base for the Expos years ago. It looked like it might end his career. The third, diving, Ramirez keeps it on the infield. Cedeno picks it up. That saved a couple of runs from scoring, but Valentine is safe at first with an infield hit. Right now, if the Mets put the ball in play, they're reaching base.
Well, another good stop by Ramirez, and just a couple of years ago, I mean, he made a lot of errors, and he's only made like 5 errors this year, and he's playing great third base. I mean, this is a tough play because the ball is curving away from you, and he's just trying to smother it, which he does. Just keep it on the infield, and he did a good job of that. Just keep the ball on the infield.
And now you've got Chris Woodward, who led off the inning with a fly ball to center field. You see that, Joe? He made more errors than any other third baseman the last 5 seasons, but just the 5 this year. This should be 2. There's home 1. Back to first. Not in time. Now, if he had, I think, from here, if he had thrown to second base, I think that's a double play and the inning's over.
Well, he said he tried that once this inning.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. Normally, if the ball leads you that way, you just go that way. Now watch, the ball is actually to his left. See where it's to his left? It's leading him towards second. And normally that's the way you go. But he chose to come home to make sure another run didn't score. I don't have a problem with that either. Because when you're the Cubs and things are going bad, you want to make sure another run doesn't score.
But the inning is still going, and here is Beltran. The power is up again for the 2nd time in the inning. The bases are loaded. And that's back out of play. Beltran, who's been batting right-handed tonight, now swings left-handed, and the left side has been his stronger side this year. He's hitting .297 batting left-handed. He's got 21 home runs, or 1 homer every 10 at-bats as a lefty. 5 runs are in. It's 7-5. The Mets leading the Cubs. Beltran is the 11th batter of the inning.
I think the key here is if you can get out of this jam only 2 down, I mean, the game is still in doubt. But if you give up an extra base hit or a couple more runs here, it's going to be tough.
Woodward, by the way, is the first batter of the inning for the Mets who came up with a runner in scoring position and did not get a hit. And how dominant was Marshall before this inning? The Cubs starter, the bad luck starter, tough luck starter. He had not even had a guy bat with a runner in scoring position tonight. I mean, in 5 innings, the Mets never had a guy in scoring position. They hit a couple of wind-blown home runs, and that was it. 3-2 now to Beltran, and they'll all be running. Chavez from third, Valentine from second, Woodward from first. There they go. In the wind, deep left center, way back, gone! Another grand slam! Two grand slams in the inning for the New York Mets. Beltran circles the bases with the second of them. And now it is a 9-run inning. 11-5 Mets. Now, that has not often happened in the history of baseball.
Well, this shows you exactly what Dusty was talking about. They do not have the power to match other teams. And the sad part is this is a pretty good pitch from Novoa. Look at that ball sinking down and away. He didn't get all of it, but he got enough of it to get it up in the wind. And the wind helped pushes it over the wall. And that's what he's saying, that the wind just helped blow that ball out of the ballpark.
But also an at-bat that might not have been and would not have been had that double play been turned on the ground ball by Woodward.
Well, like I said, I mean, everything after the second error for Walker, you had to point in that direction. Because there would have been 3 outs before that play. But that's what happens when things are going badly for you. I mean, you make an error and the other team capitalizes on it. And it doesn't always happen that way, as we know.
2 errors by Walker in the inning. And then the failure to get the double play and what looked like an inning-ending double play ball by Woodward on top of it. And 9 runs are in for the Mets. They lead 11-5. The biggest inning of this season, of this big season for the New York Mets. Carlos Delgado, the hitter. He's 1 for 3. He singled. And that was a big hit in this inning. A looping liner into shallow center. Juan Pierre made a dive for it and could not come up with it. That fueled the rally. 1-2 the count. And slider in the dirt. Well, the Mets, just as Dusty was worried that they had not taken full advantage of their many opportunities in the first 3 innings. They had a 5-0 lead as it was. And with the wind blowing out, Dusty, from hard experience, knew that may not be enough. The Mets have been getting the big rally, the big inning, a huge inning. But that's a double for Delgado, an opposite field double. The 13th batter of the inning will be David Wright. We're going to go back to the studio now for a SportsCenter 30 at 30 update.
All right, John, second one of this inning, I think. Kyle Busch wins the Lennox Industrial Tools 300. His 3rd career Nextel Cup victory. Tony Stewart crashed early and is now out of the top 10 in the point standings. And Barry Bonds goes deep for the 721st time in his glorious career. He is 34 shy of Hank Aaron, and the Giants lose the game 6-2. More on SportsCenter after the ESPYs and constantly on your ESPN mobile. John?
All right, that's Scott Reese with the SportsCenter 30 at 30 update. I'm Jon Miller with Joe Morgan and Bonnie Bernstein from Wrigley Field, Chicago. 9 runs are in for the Mets, including 2 grand slams here in the 6th inning. David Wright, the hitter. Wright hit a little lob into right field. Looked like something maybe he picked up from watching Wimbledon. This could be up for the ESPY for next year, Joe. What is the category that you would put this one in if you're voting in the ESPYs? And 2 grand slams in the same inning. Remember there was a guy once, I think it was Fernando Tatis. Remember him, 3rd baseman?
I remember him, but I don't remember the 2 grand slams.
He hit 2 grand slams himself in the same inning. I think at Dodger Stadium. David Wright nominated in this year's ESPY for best play. Remember that barehanded catch he made? Up in the wind. That one is on its way. Goodbye. And everybody's doing it. David Wright with an opposite field home run. His 2nd hit of the inning. That is the 3rd home run of the inning. The first of them where the bases weren't loaded. And 11 runs have scored in the inning. 13-5 Mets. And here comes Dusty Baker. David Wright's 21st home run. 76 and 77 RBIs, and the fans are not happy. It's turning ugly out there in the bleachers. The Mets have hit 5 home runs in this game. Cliff Floyd with a grand slam up in the wind and into the basket in left field. That put the Mets ahead. Then Beltran later in the inning also got one up in the wind. The second grand slam, which Dusty just could not believe. And now David Wright with an opposite field home run. All 3 of the home runs in this inning have gone to the opposite field. 13-5 Mets. We'll be back.
The Contender, special 2-hour series premiere, Tuesday, 10 p.m. on ESPN.
Guys, I'll be just a couple minutes, okay?
I'm gonna go down to the lobby and get a toothbrush.
We've been here for 3 days, and you're just now realizing that you don't have a toothbrush?
I had gum. What?
It's the same thing.
Yeah, it is. It's really fresh gum. It smells fine.
No. Let me smell.
Fine.
Okay. I'll meet you guys in the restaurant.
It's back to school, and Best Buy's got what kids need to succeed. Like laptops with fingerprint scanners for extra security. Convertible notebooks that let you jot notes directly on the screen for new ways to learn. And media center computers that let you record, watch, and pause live TV. Check out the Gateway Convertible Notebook with dual-core technology. It's a perfect blend of performance and creativity. Save big for back to school, now at Best Buy.
For each of us, there's a moment of discovery. We see that all of life is elemental. And as we marvel at element bonding with element, we soon realize that when you add the human element to the equation, the chemistry changes. We find a way of seeing that gives us a way of touching issues, ambitions, lives. The human element. Nothing is more fundamental, nothing more elemental.
I'm hoping that the noise gets in the hitter's mind and allows me to do what I do. Competing, I'm fearless, I'm aggressive, I'm intense. I take a lot of...
Will Ullman in from the Cubs bullpen. And a slider for a strike to Cliff Floyd. Cliff Floyd, the very same Cliff Floyd, who hit a grand slam in this inning when his Mets were trailing 5-2. That put them ahead 6-5, and they've been hitting big flies ever since. The slider 0-2. Floyd had hit only 1 home run all year against left-handed pitching until he homered in the 5th inning, a liner into right center, then a grand slam to the opposite field in the 6th. Ullman in the dirt with that one. 1-2. So Floyd hit 2 homers with 5 RBIs against the left-handed starter, Sean Marshall, tonight. 11 runs in for the Mets. And Cliff Floyd is the 14th batter of this inning. And that's outside. 2-2 the count. 13-5, the Mets are leading. And Dusty Baker could hardly look any more frustrated or even furious than he is right now.
Well, I don't think there's anything that he feels that he could have done differently. Because Marshall was throwing the ball well, and he had the error and then 2 bloops.
And in this ballpark, this is the greatest home run park in history when the wind's blowing out like it is tonight.
Yeah, and again, you know, the defense matters. That's the real key to what's happening here today. Defense matters.
That one hit off of home plate, and then it bounced foul.
And not just the defense that we see where they make diving plays in the outfield and all the acrobatic plays. The routine plays, the defense matters. When you look for a shortstop, when you look for a middle infielder, that's the first thing you look for. Guys that can make the routine play. You're not looking for guys that can make the great plays, because great plays are what just happened. But you have to be able to make the routine plays. And that's what you look for when you look for your infield. And that's what a middle infielder is supposed to do.
I mean, when you really look at what's happened in the inning, just on the errors.
Right.
I mean, they've given the Mets at least 5 extra outs in this inning. I mean,
and with the wind blowing out, you can't do that.
You can't do it.
You remember in Boston when they'd have a big lead in Fenway Park. The wind blowing out on a Saturday afternoon, it's never safe. Well, that's almost every day here in Chicago. I mean, because there's more day games.
If the wind's blowing out.
Yeah.
61 pitches thrown by Cubs pitching in this inning. 3 of them hit out of the ballpark, 2 for grand slams. Way inside with a fastball. Ullman's got a good one. That's ball 4 to Cliff Floyd. David Wright sent Roberto Novoa to the showers with his home run.
Well, this pitch is up and pretty much in the middle of the plate. It's probably the only bad pitch that he threw. And you can see again, look at the hands. That's what I look at. Now, after the ball's gone, you see the top hand roll over. That also gets you the backspin on the ball that drives the ball out of the ballpark. That lets the ball carry out of the ballpark, I should say.
Xavier Nady, ball 1 inside. If you're out into right center, you are looking into some sun out there.
Well, the sun hasn't been their problem this inning.
It was a problem for the Mets yesterday. Ryan Terrio, just up in the minors for the Cubs, hit a fly ball to right field that was lost in the sun by Endy Chavez. And it went for a triple, and that started a big inning for the Cubs, who came from behind to win that one 9-2. 2-0 the count to Nady, and Will Ullman walked Floyd to start his tenure on the mound, and now he's gone to 2-0 to Xavier Nady. And there's Pedro Martinez, who is
ever the character.
Somebody, yeah.
He's always, I mean, a lot of his teammates say he's always keeps them loose. He's kind of a comedian.
He had them worried over this weekend after getting their food poisoning apparently at home in the Dominican Republic over the All-Star break. And he was dehydrated and had lost some weight, and he actually went to the hospital here in Chicago. They put him on an IV, and they checked for some other possible problems and said no, it was just the dehydration. Tonight he actually threw in the bullpen before the game, and that is another walk. Wow. So Novoa has walked 2 since coming in. Ullman on in relief of Novoa. And Larry Rothschild's heading out to the mound. Novoa retired 1 man, although he got a double. He really got 2 double play balls after he came on for Marshall. And one was played nicely, in fact beautifully, by Ramirez, but his throw to second baseman Walker was dropped and they got nobody out. And then one was hit by Woodward, and Ramirez made the fateful decision to go home instead of going to second to start the inning-ending double play, and they did not get the double play to end the inning. And it's starting to look like this inning may never end. Here is Castro. He is the 17th batter of the inning. 11 runs in. This is already the biggest inning in Mets history. This is the Mets' 45th season. Look at that. A big 11 on the board at Wrigley Field. 2 men on, 2 men out. Castro up for the second time. That's a called strike. And a sarcastic cheer from the crowd. Floyd at second, Nady at first, both walked by Will Ullman. 13-5, the Mets lead. Pierre. (13-5) Mets in the 6th.
Good morning, Mom. morning, Dad.
Do you know what time it is? You already late for practice. You tripping, man.
Have a nice day, honey.
Keep your eye on the ball, Ryan. What up, man? What's up, superstar? Pick him up, pick him up, pick him up. That's it, man. That's it, that's it. Go tempo. Let's go, man. Hit it. Who's the new kid? Nobody. Oh, man. Oh, you gotta catch that. Come on, son. Catch it. Oh, stay, baby. Come on. Good job, man.
You know what you're capable of doing, but I haven't seen it, and I want to see it.
Me and Vic gonna do it.
380.
Like this. 380.
Brian Deegan's got heart, the kind that gets on a 250-pound motorcycle and tries to make it fly, the kind that knows that only the desire to win can overcome the fear of consequence. X Games 12, August 3rd through the 6th, live on ESPN and ABC.
Here at the Chic Shave Lab, we have been testing the new Chic Quattro Titanium in simulated social environments to see if it really is of the easy.
3, 2, 1.
Of the easy, indeed.
New Chic Quattro Titanium stays sharp to give you a close, smooth shave with less irritation than the leading brand. It's the only razor with 4 advanced blades made with titanium.
New Chic Quattro Titanium, the power of 4 meets titanium.
I know you love me. I know you do. Don't you wish your girlfriend was hot like me? Don't you wish your girlfriend was a freak like me? Don't you wish your girlfriend was fun like me? Don't you wish your girlfriend was fun like me? Don't you?
Cliff Floyd, he got it started with his grand slam. First of 2 in the inning. The last time a team hit 2 grand slams in the same inning, the St. Louis Cardinals at Dodger Stadium in April of 1999. And both of them were hit by Fernando Tatis, who was then the Cardinals' third baseman. And the 11 runs in the inning for the Mets, that's the most that any Mets team has ever scored in a single inning. Andy Chavez, who had an RBI single as a pinch hitter in the inning. And he's the only guy who did not bat twice in the inning. They almost batted around twice in the same inning. Chad Bradford, the new pitcher, throws strike 1 to Michael Barrett. The big hitters are up for the Cubs here, but they're down by 8 now. They went into the 6th inning ahead by 3. Bradford on in relief of Feliciano, who pitched a scoreless 5th inning. Bradford, who got lit up here the other day. There's a base hit. Now remember, the wind is blowing out, so I don't know how wild things could yet get. Let's go down to Bonnie Bernstein.
You know, John, the Cubs' misfortunes on the top of the 6th reminded me of that cryptic-looking sign on one of the houses overlooking right field. I had no idea what it meant, so my esteemed producer, Ben Bowman, and I went to check it out. AC stands for Anno Catullus, which means Year of the Cub in Latin. The 02 for the number of years since the Cubs made the playoffs. The 60-time number of years they haven't won the pennant. 97, of course, how long they haven't won the World Series. Now, this was all the brainchild of Bob Rackey, whose family owns the house, and evidently back in the late 90s, he didn't feel just the mere knowledge of the Cubs' woes was enough, so he decided to put up a daily reminder.
There's one, Barrett out, and it's a double play. Barrett ran right into that double play. Valentine running in to field the high hop, and Barrett was right there to meet him for the tag out and then the double play. Aramis Ramirez.
So a good job by Valentine to charge this ball. Barrett, he tries to stop, but it's too late. He recognizes what Valentine is going to do too late. He was trying to hustle the second base to try to break up the double play, but he recognizes too quickly and he's off balance. So when he hits Valentine, he doesn't even disrupt his rhythm.
So 2 down and nobody on, just like that. And here is Jock Jones. This had been the World Cup, Joe. One of those guys would have gotten a red card. That's maybe what the Cubs need. They needed Valentine to get a red card and make the Mets play shorthanded the rest of the game. Jock Jones is 1 for 3. Sean Marshall ended up allowing 7 runs in the game, 5 earned against his record.
Well, Jock is in that 0-2 count that we're talking about. This may be the time he'll break that streak.
It is 0-2. He's 0 for 53 when the count goes to 0-2. Doesn't mean it's 0-2 when the count's over.
No.
Or when the at-bat's over. But if it gets to 0-2, he has not had a hit the whole year. For 54. So the Cubs are up for about, what, 20 seconds. And now the Mets are coming up again. What a night.
The off-road technology in the Toyota 4Runner also makes it safer around town, finally bridging the gap between Mountain Man and Valley Girl. Now lease a new 4Runner for just $299 a month or get 1,000 customer cash. Toyota, a great way to keep moving forward.
Desátame de una vez. ¿Dónde has estado? Te he estado esperando por más de una hora. Al menos me hubieras llamado.
Jimmy
Los
Jones.
niños se están comportando como monios. Estoy enloqueciendo.
Ayúdame, por favor.
¿Cómo quieres que
¡Pronto!
solo?
¡Jimmy Jones!
Jimmy Jones, the world greatest sandwich delivery.
It's the ESPYs, hosted by Lance Armstrong. Celebrate the best stories of the year with Ben Stiller, Will Ferrell, and the brightest stars in sports. The ESPYs, coming up next on ESPN. Presented by the GMC Yukon Denali.
Before it became my pride, it was my passion.
In all the world, there are a select few who at their very core are capable of incredible transformation. Under the most grueling conditions, they are shaped, hardened, sharpened, ready to stand among the most elite of all warriors. The few, the proud, the Marines.
ESPN Sunday Night Baseball, presented by Taco Bell. Brought to you by AT&T Home Turf. Catch a glimpse into your favorite athlete's world at seehow-they-live.com.
Now to the 7th inning, Will Ullman to face Endy Chavez, who stayed in the game after he pinch hit for the pitcher during that 11-run 6th inning rally. And Carlos Beltran was taken out of the game. Beltran, who hit a grand slam as part of the 11-run inning. And at first base, taken by Mabry to the bag, and Chavez, who hustled up the line, is retired, 1 away. The Mets in the 6th inning put 11 runs on the board on 8 hits. They hit 2 grand slams. First time in 7 years that had happened in a big league game. Cardinals were the last team to do it, and Fernando Tatis hit both of them. The only guy in history ever to do that. 11 runs in the inning. That's an all-time Mets record. They sent 16 batters. Well, in fact, yeah, that's right. 16 batters to the plate. And there were 70 pitches thrown in the inning. And the Mets were up there for 41 minutes. Then the Cubs came up and saw 8 pitches and were up for 3 minutes. I had a little hyperbole there when I said 20 seconds. This is Valentin, who is 1 for 4 in the game.
John, I was going to say happy birthday to my good friend Michael Delmont, little kid. He was 8 years old. He may be 9 now. Since the inning lasted so long, but happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Mike.
Yeah. We got any more of those birthdays and things we can get in?
Aaron Heilman is getting ready in the Mets bullpen. The Mets lead 13-5 here. Valentin. There's Ramirez. And he throws it out. 2 men down. I I got something for you, Joe.
Okay.
The Lowe's home team advantage.
Okay.
And you wouldn't be able to tell that there's much of an advantage for the Cubs tonight at Wrigley Field. Wrigley Field has often been an advantage to them, though. Opened in 1914 as Wigman Park, second oldest ballpark in the Major League, and was not built for the Cubs. Their average attendance this year just under 40,000 paid admissions per game. Woodward, the hitter. Wrigley Field.
But coming to Wrigley Field is more of a happening than just coming to a baseball game.
Yeah. There's a I know he's disgruntled because he's wearing it right there on his shopping bag, which is over the top of his head. And I'm taking that, Joe, he does not want to be identified as being a Cubs fan. Caught by Todd Walker. 3 up and 3 down. 7th-inning stretch time at Wrigley Field. The Cubs are trailing the Mets 13-5.
Honey, remember when you asked me to spice up your food?
Yeah?
The new Spicy Chicken Crunchwrap Supreme. Spicy and grilled, so it's good to go.
Whoa, spicy.
And grilled, so it's good to go.
Good to go?
Good to go.
The new Spicy Chicken Crunchwrap Supreme. Shredded chicken simmered in Mexican spices with melty, crunchy, cool Taco Bell tastes. Loaded into a flour tortilla and grilled, so it's good to go.
He's good to go.
For a spicier way to go, think outside the bun.
Your engine knows what it wants. Pennzoil Platinum. Relearn what you know about synthetic at pennzoilplatinum.com.
It's simple. One family, one vehicle. The all-new Chevy Suburban with seating for up to 9 and an estimated 21 miles per gallon highway. Suburban, an American revolution.
Growing up, the Boys and Girls Club was a safe place where I was taught important lessons, like being part of a team. Teammates learn to play together, work together, and stick together. Major League Baseball and Boys and Girls Clubs of America understand the importance for kids to have a safe place to learn and grow. Teamwork is what made us World Series champions.
And the White Sox have won the World Series.
Major League Baseball is a proud sponsor of the Boys and Girls Clubs of America. Together, they create a positive place for kids.
ESPN Sunday Night Baseball is presented by the new Spicy Chicken Crunchwrap Supreme at Taco Bell. It's good to go. And in part by Chevy, baseball's #1 fan. Chevy, an American revolution.
Now the Cubs up in the last of the 7th. Aaron Heilman is on to pitch for the Mets, who lead 13-5. Sunset in Chicago. Just on the night, not on the Cubs season. I think the sun set on this Cubs season a long time ago. Aaron Heilman on to pitch for the Mets. Usually when Heilman comes in, it's late in the game and the Mets have a lead of much smaller proportions. John Mabry, the hitter, he's walked twice and doubled in this game. Heilman, the 5th Mets pitcher of the game. Remember, the Mets starter El Duque gave up 5 runs and was gone after 1 2/3 innings. There's Billy Wagner, the closer for the Mets, down to the bullpen now. And there's Navy, 1 away. First time Mabry's been retired tonight.
I think the Mets are going to Cincinnati from here. They have an off day tomorrow, and they're going to the Red Hot Reds.
The Reds, who made that huge trade just before the start of the second half of the season with the Washington Nationals, and which raised a few eyebrows, too, because they traded two fairly young guys who had been starting players for them. Austin Kearns, the starting right fielder, and Felipe Lopez, the starting shortstop, to try to really to solidify their bullpen. They got Gary Majeski and Bill Bray, and also a veteran shortstop, Royce Clayton, who's a very good shortstop, but on the downside of his career at age 36. But then they went out and they won the first 4 games after the break. They swept the Colorado Rockies, and that trade was on the heels of acquiring the veteran closer Eddie Guardado. And Guardado got 2 saves in the first 2 games after the break in tight games. 2-1 the count. So they'll be in Cincinnati for 3. And what do you think, Joe? I mean, the Reds, basically, I guess the Reds are saying, hey, we have a chance to at least to be the wild card team. We're going for it.
And I think as long as Griffey stays healthy, they do have a chance. Because, I mean, he really, adds a lot to that lineup. And, of course, Dunn hit his 30th home run. So, I mean, they're a good offensive ball club.
And they really felt like they were not going to be able to make the postseason with the bullpen the way it was set up before. Delgado with the unassisted put out on Matt Merton, and that is out number 2. Welcome to Sunday Night Baseball. We're at Wrigley Field, Chicago. I'm Jon Miller with Joe Morgan and Bonnie Bernstein, and the ESPYs will follow the ball game. We had a little bit of a blip tonight here when the New York Mets did something that no Mets team had ever done in the history of the Mets. That is, score 11 runs in the same inning. They'd had a couple of games with 10 runs in an inning, but in the 6th inning tonight, they not only scored 11 runs, they hit 2 grand slams. Cliff Floyd and Carlos Beltran each hit grand slams. Floyd was the one who turned the game around. They were down 5-2, and he hit his to put them ahead 6-5. Now the Cubs are batting. The Cubs at one time led this game 5-0. Marty Aronoff, our statistician, who also is a stat man for a lot of basketball games, Joe, reminds me that the Mets have scored 13 unanswered runs.
Well, Dusty Baker lamented the fact that they had not scored more with all the opportunities they had the first couple of innings against El Duque. And he said he hopes it doesn't come back to haunt him. Well, it did.
2-1 the count to Cedeno. And a 95-mile-an-hour fastball by Heilman. Foul. 2-2 in the 6th inning. This was the home run. Remember, the wind is blowing out tonight. And Floyd took full advantage of it into the basket. A grand slam. Then Beltran later in the inning against Novoa. A grand slam to the opposite field. That made it 11-5. Still later in the inning, David Wright hit a 2-run homer to make it 13-5. And back out of play. But, really a sloppily played game all the way around for the Cubs tonight. Errors, and there were other plays that weren't errors, that were plays were not made.
Well, it started in the very first inning, a little pop-up in the shallow center field by Chris Woodward that dropped for a base hit. It didn't cost him any runs there, but it was just a sign of things to come.
Did that get him? Almost. I don't know how Cedeno got out of the way of that one. Phil Nevin has come out on deck for the Cubs. So Cedeno were to get aboard here. Nevin would hit next. 2 down, nobody on. 3-2 the count. Off the mask of the catcher, Ramon Castro. The ESPYs right after the game, presented by GMC and Under Armour. And we'll find out who gets the play of the year. David Wright of the Mets is a candidate for that. Here's Juan Pierre. He was looking to be the player of the night. And that's ball 4. He had 3 hits in the first 3 innings, 2 steals and 2 runs scored as they built that 5-0 advantage. ESPY Awards tonight will feature the award for Best Major League Player. And the candidates are Chris Carpenter of the Cardinals and David Ortiz of the Red Sox, Albert Pujols of the Cardinals, and Alex Rodriguez of the Yankees. Now, if you don't want to know, if you're going to watch the ESPYs and you don't want to know who won that award, Well, look away for a moment. We'll tell you when to look back. All right, look away. The winner by the vote of the fans, there you see it. And really a landslide victory. Okay, you can look back now. And that was cool. Joe Morgan looked away.
Well, the interesting thing is already I can figure it out. You have two MVPs there, Albert Pujols and Alex Rodriguez. So I would figure it'd be one of those two.
In New England, a lot of people thought that Ortiz should have won the MVP award in the American League. Here's Phil Nevin. And a slider off the outside. They got Nevin in a trade from Texas when Derek Lee was injured. I mean, it seemed like the whole Cubs season just disintegrated when Derek Lee went on the disabled list.
Well, I think that would happen if you take Albert Pujols out of that lineup for a long period of time. They took it out for 19 days. And they struggled. Now they've won 7 in a row.
Cardinals are hot. They swept the Dodgers. Remember, when we saw the Cardinals last Sunday, they completed a third consecutive victory over the Astros and 3 out of 4 in that series. And then they swept the Dodgers in 4 right after the break. So they've won 7 in a row. And the Cardinals lead the Reds by 4. The Reds won the first 4 after the break over Colorado. Very high to Phil Nevin. 2-2. And speaking of the Cardinals and the suddenly hot Braves. Braves have won 5 in a row. 9 of 12 they're hitting. Chipper Jones is on a tear. Monday Night Baseball presented by Holiday Inn tomorrow from St. Louis. Albert Pujols up against Chipper and the Braves. 7 Eastern, 6 Central, and available in high definition on ESPN HD. In fact, Andrew Jones is not hitting too poorly either.
I saw him. He went down to one knee and hit the longest home run ever in Petco Park.
First start as a Cardinal for Jeff Weaver. Will be tomorrow night on Monday Night Baseball on ESPN HD against Horacio Ramirez of the Atlanta Braves. And if the Braves are going to make any kind of a run for the postseason, I would think Ramirez is going to have to be one of the guys who's going to have to help carry them. 3-2 now to Phil Nevin. Juan Pierre on deck. The Cubs need base runners. Now, if you get some men on base
and hit a fly ball,
you could be a player in this game with the wind blowing out. Although the wind, it seems like it's calmed down a little bit now, which is not good news for the
I think it does that when the Cubs are hitting and it blows out when the other teams are hitting.
It's blowing out.
I think there's a conspiracy.
Not as hard. That ball deep down the left field line, headed into the corner, headed for the streets. Gone, a home run. Now 13-7 Mets. Phil Nevin.
Well, it was a 3-2 pitch, so he's trying to make sure he threw a strike. Ball kind of tails in towards Nevin, and I mean, he put a charge into it. There was no doubt about this.
Now Juan Pierre, look at that one hop up against the brownstone across the street, and a fan's got himself a souvenir. Ball 1 to Juan Pierre, who has had 3 hits already tonight. They need him to get on base here.
Well, let's take a look at this pitch. The ball is tailing in on him. Remember that. And you see his eyes are going to be right here at contact, right there. And again, you can see there is no roll of the right top hand over the ball. Look at that. I think that's the best thing that this slow-mo can show you, that top hand does not roll over till after the ball is gone.
Well, that is Nevin's 16th home run of the year.
Look at the balance, the eyes right there at contact. It's a beautiful swing.
The physicists would say right at the center of percussion.
Yeah, and that would be, I mean, when he hits it like that, I mean, there's no doubt about it. And he's looking there, telling him where it ended up.
I like that super slow-mo that you brought in, Joe.
It actually shows, it'll show a lot of the problems that a hitter has in the swing, too.
That one, a hit. Heilman. Woodward. Safe at first. The 4th hit of the game for Juan Pierre.
It's a line drive right back. Heilman got leather on it. Woodward tried to throw him out. No chance. Fastball tailing away, reaches out, slaps it back through the middle, and that is a slap. And you can see that Heilman did get leather on it.
Here's Todd Walker. A changeup. And Heilman's got a good one. 0-1. I mean, Walker, I feel bad for him.
I do. Well, I always feel bad for second baseman, but
you don't wish a night like this on anybody.
You're exactly right.
Chavez backing up as the wind carries it, and that is the inning. Todd Walker is 0 for 5 on top of everything else. On to the 8th inning. 13-7 Mets.
What happens when a beer starts out this cold? It ends up this refreshing. The frost brewed taste of Coors Light. Taste the cold.
He's no longer in white pants. He's now wearing...
Baby Ruth is the candy bar for baseball guys. Guys who like peanuts, nougat, and caramel every bit as much as a grand slam. And if you're a woman who likes that stuff, want to go to a ball game? Baby Ruth from Nestle, official candy bar of Major League Baseball.
Please accept my sincere apologies. I'm so very sorry. All those times you couldn't tackle me, it wasn't your fault. It was mine. I ignored your feelings, and that was wrong. NCAA football, 2007.
Rated E for everyone.
EA Sports. It's in the game.
What happens when a beer starts out this cold? It ends up this refreshing. The frost brewed taste of Coors Light. Taste the cold.
Next, it's the ESPYs, hosted by Lance Armstrong. Celebrate the best stories of the year with Ben Stiller, Will Ferrell, and the brightest stars in sports. The ESPYs, coming up next on ESPN. Presented by the GMC Yukon Denali.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Office of the Commissioner of Baseball and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent.
Here we go now into the 8th inning, and the ESPY for best performance by a 47-year-old big leaguer goes to Julio Franco. And then next year they'll go to the best for a 48-year-old guy. Actually, he turns 48 next month.
So you believe Franco, but you don't believe El Duque that his age is correct.
Well, what do you think? Franco's actually 55?
No, I believe whatever they said about El Duque. Whatever they say, I believe him.
Well, I believe him. I'm just saying. I just reported that there were many others who said that it was actually more. You know, when Fidel says that, you have to listen. 1-2. Every time a guy defects from Cuba, they put little things like that out against it, right? Yeah. Oh, yeah, he says he's 29. He's actually 43. Broke into the leagues here back before the revolution. 1-2 the count, and that's up and in now to Julio Franco. And Franco, I mean, is still a valuable contributor on a good team.
And very much so on the bench, too, John. In the clubhouse, he's a very valuable contributor.
Strike 3, Glendon Rush, the new pitcher, gets him looking. 1 away. The ESPYs come up right after the ball game, and one of the categories is best play. And David Wright of the Mets is on that list. So is Aaron Rowan of the Phillies for a play he made this year. Look at this one. This one hurt. He caught it. Ooh, ow. And he had been saying, hey, we need some padding on that fence out there in center field. And then David Wright last year, one of the most spectacular plays you'll ever see. Look at that one. Here's Carlos Delgado. We'll find out who wins for best play. The ESPYs right after the game. Some plays also on the list from football, or as we like to say, from other sports. David Wright is on deck. Carlos Delgado has had a single and a double. He had both of them in the same inning in that 11-run 6th inning. And the catcher Barrett is out to talk to Glendon Rush, the 4th Cubs pitcher of the game. 13-7. The Mets are leading. You know, I was surprised to find out Nevin had 16 home runs this year.
Oh, no, I've been watching him. When he first came to the Cubs, he contributed a lot. He hit quite a few home runs when he first got here, after sitting, you know, for a long time.
He hit 7 home runs as a Cub in 97 at-bats. He had hit 9 home runs for the Rangers in the American League. 16 homers and 46 RBIs all told. And there's ball forward to Delgado. And here comes David Wright now once again, who homered his last time. Let's go down to Bonnie.
Wright's barehander we just saw, John, pretty impressive. Also impressive by David, that second place finish on Tuesday at the home run derby. He had 22 home runs. The funny thing about that was his teammate and very good friend Cliff Lloyd set the over-under at 2 or 3. Nice friend, huh? So now there's this budding controversy in the clubhouse because Floyd allegedly doesn't want to pay up on the bet because there was no handshake. So, of course, I got to go to Floyd, find out about this situation. And he shakes his head. He said, look, I already owe the guy dinner because he beat me in RBIs last year. So what I think I'm going to do at the end of the season, I'm just going to send him on a trip somewhere and get it all settled.
All right. Sounds like Cliff Floyd's a pretty good teammate, Joe.
The best teammate ever was Brian McRae. Remember, he bet if if they hit a home run in the game, he'd get him a new Mercedes. And he paid off on the bet.
He bought him a Mercedes?
Yeah. It was a pitcher. He bet one of the pitchers when he was with the Cubs here now. And he paid him off.
Well, Barry Bonds bought Sean Dunston a new Mercedes for a bet. Dunston said in 2001, he says, you're so hot, you're going to break the record for home runs in a season. And Bonds bet him that just would not happen. Bet him a new Mercedes.
Man.
And then he hit 73, and he bought Sean the new Mercedes.
Well, if you hit 73 home runs, I think you can afford one.
David Wright, the hitter, low and inside for a ball. So the ESPYs right after the game find out of David Wright's play. He on the Letterman show the other night, he told the story. He got 3 brothers. He said they give him a lot of grief. He says, which is in a way is good. It kind of helps keep him grounded. That's over Cedeno into the alleyway. That's going to roll out to the 368 marker. Delgado will go to third on a double for David Wright. Wright's 3rd hit of the game.
He has such good hand action. I mean, he waits on the ball, and then he's aggressive through the zone with his hands. Watch, see his hands. You see the difference in his hands and some of the others, even in slow motion. I mean, he is really aggressive through the zone with his hands. See, his rolls a little quicker than, say, we saw with Delgado and what we saw with Beltran and what we saw with Floyd. It's just a little quicker. He uses his hands a little bit more than they do, which allows him to wait a little bit longer.
Not Cliff Floyd. As Bonnie Bernstein said, he got about 30 family and friends that he left tickets for tonight, sitting behind home plate. And he's put on quite a show for them. Cedeno, nice pickup with the infield drawn in, and he throws out Cliff Floyd. Floyd, who hit a solo homer in the 5th inning to start the comeback. They were down 5-1 when he hit that one to make it 5-2. Then he hit a grand slam in the 6th that put them ahead 6-5. This time he grounds out. And look at that, Joe. Now that is a sunset. Red sky at night, sailors delight. Red sky at morning, sailors take warning. And there is a swing and a miss by Xavier. So we'll see what it looks like in the morning. There have been a lot of red skies at morning for the Cubs this year. They've been sailing through turbulent seas. Back to the screen. Xavier Nady has had 1 hit, 2 walks tonight. 1 hit, 2 at bats, plus 2 walks. Friends, Boys and Girls Clubs of America is the official charity of Major League Baseball. Together, they create a positive place for kids. A high fastball, Rush strikes him out. 2 men stranded for the Mets. We go to the last of the 8th. Michael Barrett, Aramis Ramirez, Jock Jones coming up.
Both of these men are wearing 100% wool suits. The man on the left bought his at Men's Warehouse. The man on the right went to another menswear store and paid over twice as much. So while they both look smart, only one of them actually is. You're gonna like the way you look. I guarantee it.
It's fun furniture, and it's so exciting. It just makes you feel so good. It's carefree, casual furnishings for the entire home, whether it be inside or out. It's a mix of different textures and fabrics, and you just create your own look. It just gives you a really good feeling. It's everything you want.
You paid for 300 horses. Are you sure you're getting all of them? Choose Q from Quaker State. Q's patented heat-activated formula fights power-robbing friction better than any conventional oil to help maximize power. And let all your horses come out. Q from Quaker State. Unleash all your horses. Get free tickets to Superman Returns with purchase of Q synthetic oil or oil change.
It's the ESPYs, hosted by Lance Armstrong. Celebrate the best stories of the year with Ben Stiller, Will Ferrell, and the brightest stars in sports. The ESPYs, coming up next on ESPN. Presented by the GMC Yukon Denali.
Sunday Night Baseball from Wrigley Field, Chicago. Bad news for the hometown 9, an 11-run 6th inning for the Mets. Turned this game around after the Cubs had jumped to a 5-0 lead through 2. And here is Heath Bell in from the Mets bullpen in the 8th inning. The ESPYs right after the game. ESPY for the best seat in sports. So somebody who's eagerly looking forward to the ESPYs, quite obviously. Although they're here, so they'll have to TiVo the first part of the ESPYs. Heath Bell, you see his numbers for the year. He's a hard-throwing sinker baller. 2-0 the count to Michael Barrett. Barrett has had 3 hits tonight, 2 RBI doubles, and a single. He's 3 for 4. Aramis Ramirez, Jock Jones, the hitters coming up here. They need base runners. Joe, a couple of base runners. With the wind blowing out, boom. The lead is cut in half.
Well, that's a fact. I mean, you just have to get runners on and get the ball in the air. But we remember now, Dusty was talking about the fact that they just did not have guys that hit the big flies here, even with the wind blowing out.
The Mets with 13 runs, 5 home runs, accounting for 12 of those runs.
And then, of course, the Cubs have hit 1 home run. That was by their pitcher, Sean Marshall. 2 home runs with Phil Nevin. But Dusty was talking about the fact they've almost been out-homered at home 2-1. It was very close.
They've allowed 71, and they've hit at home now 37. Barrett is gone, one away. Let's take a look at our passion for excellence presented by Bridgestone Tires. Mariano Rivera, his 400th career save today, 4th on the all-time list, but it was a 2-inning save. And he came on and inherited 2 base runners against the slugging White Sox. And now the Braves had a most excellent weekend in San Diego at the great pitchers park, Petco Park. They scored 36 runs in 3 games there and swept the Padres. And the Reds, since they bolstered their bullpen with that huge trade with the Nationals, they're 4-0. They swept the Colorado Rockies, and their bullpen played a big part in all the wins. Ultimately, Aramis Ramirez, his double homer run, struck out, fried out, and hit into a double play. 1 for 4. And back out of play. 40,157, the paid crowd. Pedro Martinez still kidding around with somebody. Looks like he's kidding around with somebody over in the Cubs dugout. But Pedro actually threw in the bullpen tonight before the game, which was a little ahead of schedule. The doctors told him they didn't want him to do anything for a couple of days. That's a base hit. Ramirez hit it very hard. It looks like Pedro, they're hoping, would make his next start this coming Saturday. Ramirez with his second hit. That's the next time the Mets, because of the day off tomorrow, would need a 5th starter. And this was before the game tonight. Pedro did some running and some throwing out in the outfield, and then worked in the bullpen. Willie Randolph alongside. And that's a ball down and in to Jock Jones, a runner at first. 1 out here in the 8th inning. The Mets go home to play Houston. So they're hoping to Pedro make the start next Saturday against the Astros at Shea Stadium. Cliff Floyd, plenty of room on this one. 2 down. And now John Mabry will come up.
Jock gets a fastball right down the middle of the plate. But he realized I better run anyway.
And he does the job.
He looked so disconsolate.
Well, he got a fastball right there, and it wasn't 0-2, so he had a chance of getting a base hit.
He's 0 for 54, and the count goes to 0-2. Strike 1 to Mabry, 0-1. 13-7, the Mets lead the Cubs. And we've seen some of the things that make the Mets so good. You know, El Duque got knocked around tonight, knocked out early. Well, the Mets bullpen came in. Darren Oliver, 2 1/3 scoreless innings. Pedro Feliciano an inning. Bradford an inning. And that bullpen held the line and gave the Mets the chance to come back in this game. And that bullpen, if they got lit up as well, I mean, before the Mets ever made a move, they might have been down 9, 10, 11 runs with the wind blowing out.
And that changes everything. I mean, if you get that far behind early.
1-2 the count. Yeah. Blew it right by him. Heath Bell, he got some smoke on that fastball. 9th inning. 13-7. The Mets leading at Wrigley.
Before it became our everyday, it was our someday.
Excuse me, Dr. Z, a quick question. What have been the benefits of the merger between Daimler-Benz and Chrysler?
Okay, get in. Clearly, we have successfully combined the best in American and German engineering and design.
You might want to slow down just a tad.
For example, the Dodge Charger suspension originated in Germany. Since inventing the 4x4 SUV, we've improved Jeep fuel economy, and we are building a flex fuel Commander and Grand Cherokee.
Plus the world's cleanest diesel, not to mention 32 highway miles per gallon.
With state-of-the-art 4-cylinder technology. The result? Better quality, performance, capability, and vehicles like this Chrysler Pacifica with the most safety and security features in its class.
Are you really a doctor?
Any more questions?
No. I'm good.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Get employee pricing plus 0% financing on 2006 Chrysler, Jeep, and Dodge vehicles. If not satisfied, simply return it within 30 days.
You've seen how they play.
Oh! Albert!
Now see how they live.
Let's go inside.
With AT&T Home Turf, visit seehowtheylive.com for exclusive access into your favorite players' worlds.
I know you do.
It's the ESPYs, hosted by Lance Armstrong. Celebrate the best stories of the year with Ben Stiller, Will Ferrell, and the brightest stars in sports. The ESPYs, coming up next on ESPN. Presented by the GMC Yukon Denali.
Ninth inning, Glendon Rush to Ramon Castro. Castro takes ball one. Castro, Andy Chavez, and then leadoff man Jose Valentin. The Mets leading 13-7. 13 runs, 13 hits for the Mets. 7 runs, 14 hits for the Cubs, with the Cubs with a couple of very critical errors. But there were the errors that are on the scoreboard, and then there were other errors of omission. And a bad night for Todd Walker. Line shot to left field over the head of Merton, and it will be a long single for Ramon Castro. Now let's go to the studio. Scott Reese with the Sports Center 30 at 30 update.
All right, John. Kyle Busch wins the Lennox Industrial Tools 300, his third career Nextel Cup victory. Tony Stewart, by the way, crashed early, now out of the top 10 in the point standings. And from baseball, Barry Bonds with career home run number 721. That leaves him 34 shy of Hank Aaron. Details on Sports Center coming up after the ESPYs and continuously on your ESPN mobile. John.
Thanks, Scott. And a foul ball by Andy Chavez. Chavez, a pinch hit single to knock in a run in the 11-run 6th inning round. In fact, that was a big hit he got. The score at the time was 6-5. And he made it 7-5. And there is Juan Sanchez warming up in the Mets bullpen now. A ball and a strike to Andy Chavez. Chavez has been kind of a valuable man for the Mets. You know, when you're going to be a good team, you have to have depth. Guys go down, you need somebody who can fit in effectively. And Carlos Beltran actually was on the disabled list for a time earlier this year. And Chavez played every day. And the thing was, they lost little, if anything, defensively in center field because he covers a lot of ground out there. And he's got a lot of tools offensively as well, including great speed. Here's one to throw to first. Double play. So Todd Walker got the tag and getting Castro and then doubled up the speedy Chavez.
Well, we've seen this play twice tonight. One by Jose Valentin and now by Todd Walker. The runners are trying to break up the double play, and then the second baseman charges in and gets right in front of him and makes the play.
I mean, is there something a runner could do there?
Not in that case. You got to run over him. But, I mean, with the score being what it is, he doesn't want to get hurt. But
Valentin, the hitter, fouling one out of play. This is ESPY night on ESPN. ESPY nomination for Best Game. Agassi Blake in the U.S. Open quarterfinals. Braves Astros, remember that 18-inning Game 4 in the division series?
USC in Texas, I tell you what.
That was a pretty good one.
That was a real good one.
I have a feeling I know which one's going to win.
Yeah. But they were all great.
All would be worthy. Two and two the count to Valentin, who's 1 for 5 tonight. His one hit, an infield hit in the 6th inning. Ronnie Cedeno, and the inning is over. 3 outs of life left to the Cubs. Merton, Cedeno, the pitcher spot due up 13-7 Mets.
Sometimes paying more just doesn't make sense.
Excuse me, can I pay more for this? What?
The same is true for your wireless service. Save big with 50% off your first 3-month service on nationwide shared plans. Plus, get unlimited nights and weekends starting at 5 p.m. and free mobile to mobile. Get up to 5 Nokia phones for a penny. Or choose cool Motorola, Samsung, or Sony Ericsson phones at incredible prices. Why pay more? iWireless. Wireless made easy.
Did you know there's no such thing as Canadian bacon in Canada? Scotland Yard is located in England. And French toast was invented in New York. So you shouldn't be too surprised that all 3 of these big Toyota models are assembled right here in the United States. In Indiana, actually. Just in case you want to look smart at a party.
Get 0% APR or $2,000 cash on Tundra. Toyota, a great way to keep moving forward.
I'm hoping that the noise gets in the hitter's mind and allows me to do what I do. Competing, I'm fearless, I'm aggressive, I'm intense. I take a lot of pride in what I do. And when I'm not pitching, I'm able to really enjoy the game. I believe that while you do your job, why not have fun? I live for this.
Catch Major League Baseball all season long on ESPN. Don't miss it.
Next, it's the ESPYs, hosted by Lance Armstrong. Celebrate the best stories of the year with Ben Stiller, Will Ferrell, and the brightest stars in sports. The ESPYs, coming up next on ESPN. Presented by the GMC Yukon Denali.
ESPY night, and the Mets celebrated with an 11-run inning. 4 of the runs, the first 4 driven in by Cliff Floyd's grand slam. Floyd, the Chicago native, back home with 2 homers and a 5 RBI night. His 6th career grand slam. The Mets had hit 2 grand slams all year, and then they hit 2 in the 6th inning, which ties a major league record. Duaner Sanchez on the pitch now. Willie Randolph is basically getting a lot of guys work. Remember, he had to go to his bullpen in the 2nd inning. El Duque only lasted 1 2/3 innings. Matt Merton, the hitter, back to the screen. Sanchez has got a great arm, throws hard with movement. He's one of those guys get that 94-mile-an-hour sinker. He got off to a fabulous start for the Mets this year. Billy Wagner getting some work in the bullpen. That is fouled right past Chris Spire, the third base coach. The Mets tonight with 13 runs, 12 of them on their 5 home runs. And it's the 3rd time this year that a major league team hit 5 homers or more, and all of their runs, or 12 of their runs, were a result of the home runs. And it's happened here at Wrigley Field twice. Matt Merton is gone, 1 away. The Tigers did it here. They beat the Cubs 12-3 back in June in an interleague game. It seemed to me, Joe, the Tigers hit something like 7 or 8 home runs in that game. I think it was 8 home runs. And Texas did it in Baltimore this past Thursday. Remember, Mark Teixeira hit 3 of them. Next Sunday at 8 Eastern, we'll be in Philadelphia, and we'll get a look at the Atlanta Braves, who looked dead and gone when we last saw them. About a month ago? Back in June, they couldn't beat anybody.
Well, the Chipper Jones makes the difference there. Andrew Jones was already having a good season, but Chipper Jones adding his bat to that attack on a consistent basis has really made a big difference for them. They've been scoring a lot of runs.
And we'll check in with Ryan Howard. And we'll see who's left with the Phillies. A lot of talk that guys like Bobby Abreu, maybe even Pat Burrell, might be trade material. The Phillies with an unhappy season up till now.
Well, what about Ryan Howard? I mean, Bobby Abreu hit all those home runs and then struggled after the second half. He's hit 2 home runs since the All-Star break.
Yeah. I don't know if he hit one today or not. He homered Friday in San Francisco and homered again yesterday. And there's Woo-Woo. Ronnie Woo-Woo trying to keep spirits up out there. The thing I love about Cubs fans, Joe, they just seem to love the company of the game and Wrigley Field.
Well, it's an event, as I said earlier, coming to Wrigley Field.
Ronnie Cedeno, 1 hit in 3 at-bats. And 97 miles an hour on that one, 2 down. Sanchez is looking pretty quick tonight. ESPY night. ESPYs were 1 out away from the ESPYs for 2006. And now Angel Pagan is the pinch hitter here in the 9th inning. Pagan used to be in the Mets organization. Switch hitter, got 3 home runs and only 45 at bats. He's got power. And there's ball 1. So next Sunday we'll check in with Ryan Howard and company and the Braves and the Phillies. And the Braves, Chipper Jones has had 34 hits in his last 63 at bats. And he's had at least 1 extra base hit in 14 straight games. And they're really slugging the ball right now. Chipper Jones, Andrew Jones, Jeff Francoeur, Brian McCann. It's a pretty good lineup that's finally getting everything in gear. Wow. Look at that slider. 90-mile-an-hour slider. Or maybe a cutter. 13-7, the Mets are leading. Changeup, and Sanchez strikes out the side. One final bruise administered to the Cubs, who took a 5-0 lead and ultimately took a 13-7 knockout. The Mets take the series and continue to lead the East by 12. Jon Miller for Joe Morgan and Bonnie Bernstein. Thanks for tuning in. Up next, the 2006 ESPY Awards. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Good night from Chicago.